Conservation Commission meeting of December 12th, 2024. We've just finished a potluck and we're about to commence the meeting, and our first business, order of business is approval of minutes. Does anyone want to talk about the minutes? Are they acceptable? Does anyone?
I'm looking for the minutes.
I was looking for them.
Maybe we will delay that.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were attached.
Okay, so we will delay that. The next order of business is what's happening. And there's a trail cleanup on, we think, January 12th on Sunday at 11 that the public is welcome to attend. And on the website there will be the place where they're meeting. We're not sure where that is yet. And then there's a home energy savings presentation at the library on the 11th at 3 p.m. That should be very interesting. And let's, our next business is the Racebrook track access. And Tim Austin is going to give us a presentation about that. Tim, are you ready to tell us about it? I know we don't have as many copies as we'd like, so we'll have to huddle over one.
Right, I am. It's another item that wasn't attached, I guess.
Okay.
For your distribution, so we will have to huddle. And I will start by throwing this into the middle of the table as a
And this is the Racebrook track
visual
itself,
of the
right?
Racebrook track itself.
And that's the portion that's orange, and that's the portion that's Woodbridge?
Right, and it,
And this
This is
if
the
you were,
parkway, and this is Racebrook Road.
Right.
and if you were,
Are you looking at it, Val? Can you
Val's
see it?
over there.
yeah,
Does she have a copy?
I have.
You have it, maybe you can share your screen with,
Who's taking notes? Who's taking minutes?
nobody's taking notes, but
Hold on.
Kathy is going to look at the meeting online on video and record it, and if there's any motions that we pass, we will record them here and give them to her.
Oh.
And Diana, will you do that if there's any motions?
Uh-huh.
Thank you.
this one
With pleasure.
here, so I don't
I'll
knock it.
help you.
Okay. So this discussion is about the potential for a parking area on the Racebrook track. I think many people who are like me have always thought of the Racebrook track as a nice place to take a walk in Orange. And I have, or go cross-country skiing, which I have. But it wasn't very long ago that I looked in detail at the map and realized that the town lines kind of goes right through the middle of it, this dotted line, and when you do the calculation, 44% of the acreage is in Woodbridge. And people don't tend to get up to the Woodbridge side because they use the large parking lot down in Orange. That's all the way on the other end of the property. So that, in brief, the thought was, and we started having these discussions about these thoughts when I was still on the Conservation Commission. And the thought was that we could put a parking area off Racebrook Road, again, Racebrook Parkway, right in this corner, in fact, right over this town line, to make it what was envisioned we wanted to do with open space in the town, make it more accessible and safe for people to use the open space. Right now, there is a trail in this corner, not on the map, but you have to park on Clearview, or excuse me, it's Williamsburg, and walk down. And that's a busy road. So the thought was to put an area. The area would, visually, if you remember driving up Racebrook Road, there's a sign that designates the town property line, and it would be just beyond that. There's a Lions Club sign, and it's that area, and this gives you a little visual of what the...
Would it be in between the two signs?
Yeah, more or less.
How many cars could park there?
I think it's spec'd out for at least 8.
And it would be permeable.
It would be Can I hold that and
Yep.
we'll get to it as the Public Works has gotten to this. So has
Sure.
weighed
Weighed
in
in.
on this. And we went to the state. The state, it's a state road, and so there's a state involvement. And so the state has also given us the requirements, which I'll show you in a minute. This is a diagram of what that area might look like. And again, Grace Brook, and the parking area would just be a square. There's mostly scrub. There's a few trees, 6-inch trees that would probably need to come down. The Public Works did go up and look at the area. They staked it out, so if you go by there, you'll see it staked where it would go.
Would there be more than one entrance and exit?
Just the one off Grace Brook.
And there's enough room to.
And you say there is a trail from there, it's just not on the map?
Yes, it's not been put on the map. We think the thought is the mountain bikers kind of first created it, but it does connect with the Woodsland Road, and then what it does, if I can flip back to the map, it connects to the Red Trail. So it comes approximately, starts at this corner, it'll come into the parking lot, go down the woods roads here, and then it winds all the way down, crosses the brook, that's Race Brook, and connects to the Red
There we
Trail.
go.
That's the actual brook.
So it does that now, and we would enhance the trail a little bit, I think. The bridge over the water needs a little work. The parking area would just be cut in roughly, most of the work being done by the Public Works Department. They would probably hire out
Yeah,
just to
no,
make it.
I'm just looking at it to keep the consistency.
Yep. The state has some requirements. They want a 24-foot wide driveway, paved,
Just the driveway.
just the driveway, and Public Works would probably contract that out because they just don't have the equipment probably to put that in. They
How
would
long
probably
does it have
purchase
to be?
that. It has to go from the road did I put that on here? I didn't, but it passed, there's a stone wall you can see, it has to go past the stone wall. So it's not very long.
Like
15 or
10.
20 feet?
Yeah,
This is-
yeah, 10 feet.
Do you know why?
It says a 5 or
they
10 foot
required
radi.
Paved?
It's
Driveway?
just what they make, given the amount of cars that would go in, that it's not a private property, and there's going to be traffic for this use. Their regulations say you have to have a paved driveway to go in.
The reason I ask is because the one on Rimmon Road down in Ansonia.
It's
connecting
not-
to
it's
those
not
is not
paved.
paved
It's
at all.
No.
But it's probably grandfathered.
It
So
might
it's
be.
been there
I mean, it's
for a
been there
long
quite
time.
a while. Maybe
But,
so.
But it's the same kind of
you
concept.
can really go in too over there. What I'm wondering about this one, is there enough
Turn around.
to turn around and come out? Because I would imagine they don't want anyone backing out onto
The street.
Racebrook Road.
Right.
Right, and that's why I think the town Public Works went up and staked it out to make sure that would be possible.
Tim, the driveway has to be 24 feet wide with a 5 or 10 foot,
Radii.
what's that?
Like an apron?
I don't exactly know.
Okay.
I think it has to do, I think, with visibility coming out. So a turning radius to make sure that people, when they can turn in
Oh,
easily
on
enough
either
on
side,
either side.
like the, okay.
See, this is 415 feet long. This is a pretty big area.
Really?
Yeah,
That's what
that's
it
what it
says right
says.
here, 415.75 feet.
That's a lot more than 8 cars.
That's a
Are
long-
we sure they're not saying that that's 415 feet from the
You
town
know-
line?
Cause see how this is? These are lots, so
This-
I think this got part of something, his map.
Yeah.
These are measurements of state.
Oh, okay.
I don't think
had
that
it
that's,
as
That's not the-
measurement
that's
of
not the parking area.
parking area.
No.
Okay, sorry.
because that would be
Mhm.
very
So this is
expensive.
24,
It's huge, yeah.
this is,
Yeah, like this
50.
property here
It's
could
probably
be, the whole
125.
property front, road front is 415 feet.
so this is the 25, 50, 75, 100, 115 feet is probably what it is, right, if this is 24. I don't know if that's to scale, but
Yeah,
It would seem
I,
so,
I,
yeah.
I,
So we can get
something
the
I probably
dimensions.
should have done is after they staked it, I probably should have gone and measured it, but I haven't
I'm
done
sure they
it,
probably
which
put
I
the
can-
stakes every
Yeah,
so many feet or something.
yeah.
They didn't just
Well, cause that's,
willy-nilly put stakes in.
do we have any idea what that would cost?
Yes,
How much?
the estimate Public Works gave me is 5,000.
Really? That's it?
So this is a
2
property
weeks.
that was acquired for 1.2 million and change.
the
And
Woodbridge part of the whole thing,
The Woodbridge part
okay.
in three parcels.
Uh-huh,
And, you know, for a small amount of money and work time from Public Works, we could provide a nice accessible area for the public to use use the open space.
You mentioned that you saw, or that the trails were probably originally blazed by bikes, dirt bikes, or...
Not blazed, but
Well, I'm-
created, yes. Yeah, okay, I
Gently
take
giving them
your
credit.
older meaning of that word, yes, I will. I got you.
Yes, and do you get the sense that there's any other type of vehicles, recreational vehicles used there? Like, if we do this, are we
don't-
encouraging more?
I don't think there is. I haven't seen any evidence, and you can
That's pretty
see,
good.
you can see evidence.
Until now, no.
Um,
All of our
The,
viewers.
the, the,
I've been.
the Orange Land Trust takes care of the orange piece of the racetrack track. Um, And they do not want the mountain bikers on the trails.
Sure, okay. I was just curious
And
if
so
there
that
was
they-
more
and-
evidence
And
of
so,
it.
I know they look out for that a lot,
Is it wide?
I'm sure-
People on mountain bikes,
mountain bikes.
really?
Yeah, and then, so I'm sure they're very diligent about quads and so forth.
who takes care of this land? Is it the land trust, or is it
Well, it'll be
the
the,
town?
no, the town is
Is
responsible.
it, is it restricted as open space? Is it deed restricted?
It is.
completely?
Yes, yes
Okay.
it is. It was
purchased with state,
state funds,
state
Right.
funds.
so
Got
that,
it.
by
That's
that,
your-
that's
yeah.
protection.
Okay,
We're lucky in this particular area. Andy Danzig walks this just about every week.
huh?
It's his weekly walk on the weekend, and so
Now we
he's
know where to
always.
find him.
he just,
He
he just does that because he does it.
he does it, and so he's always paying attention that, I won't
Maybe
say
he
all
could,
the trails.
maybe he could
but-
host a walk with us.
And I have just a question, is this an area where there are lots of invasives or not so bad?
I think it's more
Up-
pine
up-
tree.
Up top, when you first go in that corner, there are a lot of invasives.
But that's good that they're not
Kim, what does that
inside.
row 15 feet
yet.
on the, this map here?
Right of way.
Right of way, okay.
15 feet from the street line.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah, that was
Is there any more to this presentation?
just a little bit. So this, you wanna ask a question first?
I do have a question, if it's all right.
That's right.
Do we happen to know what, like what's allowed on the orange side of the trails? Like
What activities?
horseback riding, biking, walking? Yeah, obviously walking.
They don't want mountain bikers, I know that.
I don't think
They don't-
horses are
orange
allowed
doesn't
either.
want it.
And I don't,
Right.
Well, horses aren't
Woodbridge
allowed in
can.
Woodbridge, but I was just curious if.
I do not know horses one way or another.
Mhm,
I've never seen a horseback riding there.
mhm.
Yeah, I feel like I've seen their sign. It's been a while, but
I I've seen some logging up in the top
They're
part of
pretty
the
strict
property
about
in Orange.
what is allowable there.
I mean,
think.
over towards Johnson Road.
Yes.
A lot of
Yeah, if I get back again. Oops. Logging, my memory is, it was up in here, this corner.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Scott.
oh, where,
At the end of the, what
Right,
is that, the white
right.
trail? Yeah, up in there.
Okay, let's keep moving.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
So, the thought here was that this is, you know, it's now been researched, Public Works has weighed in. The Public Works has asked that inland wetlands weigh in eventually.
Are there
and
wetlands there? Where are the wetlands? Okay.
I don't see them,
Okay.
but they asked for that, and
Okay.
that's a conversation that, and I know you have a relationship there. That this should go into the budget, it's budget time
Okay,
coming up, right?
so is it that road?
And I've talked to Tony, and he would put it, it's something would go in the Parks Department budget, rather than any place else. But it should, of rights, needs to be approved by the Board of Selectmen, and it's open space, and the Conservation Commission should be the entity that brings it up and asks it to be approved. So I laid out, and you don't have to read this now, what the process is as I understand it.
Mhm.
That Public Works, you know, partially laid that out for me, and I've laid out some talking points for the Board of Selectmen. So, you know, my ask is that you take this now and see if you want to endorse it, number one, more importantly, and then if so, then bring it forward as a recommendation to the Board of Selectmen with a letter.
Would you like to speak to the Board of Selectmen when we present it?
I can certainly be there and
Okay.
help you do that.
A couple questions.
Yep.
As far as signage, so the cost was just, the paving cost was 5,000?
No. The cost of the project, and I didn't answer your question from before. This is going to be a help to the town in a way, and the plan would be, they have excess material from the work they do.
And millings.
And they, just like has been done in Elderslie, they would use that for the parking area. And that's not impermeable, it's not grass and soil, but it's,
Sure.
you know, that's permeable as far as I understand.
Mhm.
And they would use that, and it would help the town be able to get rid of that. So they would, I think they would gladly
That's the
use
materials
this.
they get when they grind up the
Yeah.
asphalt.
the asphalt.
Yeah, and if you go over to the country club, by the old
That big
house,
pile.
that big pile, that's what they
Yeah,
can't
they
get
need
rid
to
of.
build some
They can't
housing.
find people to take it. So they're looking for places to put it. I didn't know about that until this was way along, but that's what they do.
Interesting.
So there's, you know, that's a no-cost material, but the 5,000 would cover
Clearing,
the
leveling.
pavement, yeah, and if
Site-
they have
site
any,
work.
any other cost besides their sunk costs of the people that already work there, they do.
Just curious, like, you know, in the parks, they have the poles and the gates, you know, the chain link, or the link chains that they put up to close them at sunset. Is there some, like, does that
That's
increase?
a good idea.
Is that something that they have there? Do we have to put signage up that says, kind of like, you know, the hiking trail signs, which I know are not a huge cost?
I would, we did specify that we would want a sign. You know, you can do signage the way you want to, off-the-shelf signage, and just put it.
Like some of the ones we have on the trails here? Like the
Yeah,
little brown
just
ones?
those little sign that says arrow and hiking trail.
Mhm.
But, you know, this is a parking area, you might want to sign to say parking area, but you can get those off the shelf, or you can do something more elaborate. I also found out that, and this was not part of this proposal, but because this was acquired by state funds, the state has a requirement that you're supposed to put a sign there saying this property was acquired with state funds. And if you look at Orange now, if you go down there, they have a big sign to that effect.
Big wooden one.
Yeah, big wooden one. So at some point, the town, by rights, should probably do that.
We just put a sign up there that says, and this part too?
Yeah,
from theirs.
maybe.
Just an arrow.
I mention this for this reason. When we quickly looked at the grant application as we were looking at 1875 Litchfield Turnpike, the Regent property, looking through that, one of the evaluation criteria in the grant says, have you posted the sign that says for your other properties that have been acquired with state money? Yes or no? Send us a picture. So we will be demerited if we don't have those signs when we go for future
Well,
grants.
that might be worth bringing up to Mika's attention.
Mika now knows about
Okay, cool.
it. Did
Okay.
mention it to him.
Question,
Yes.
what is the outcome of using the ground at asphalt?
Barbara, I missed the part of
What
the
is-
outcome of,
How detrimental
Ground
is
up
it?
asphalt
To the
doesn't seem to me very environmentally
Sound.
good.
Right.
What is the,
well,
do you have any idea what?
I can't say
Well,
specifically.
if it washes into something, you know, so that's why I think you would need to know how close to the stream are you? If we got a big, huge storm and it
Yeah.
ran
We don't
off
get those here.
into,
Yeah, but
A
even just
stream.
over time sinking into the ground. I
So
mean,
first, you also need to consider that this is
I thought they were
old.
tarring it though. I'm so
No.
confused.
No,
They're
they
not gonna
wouldn't be
tar
tar
it.
it.
They're just gonna
They
reuse that
they use the
asphalt.
It's
raw
called
material
milling.
and they
But
pack it.
they pack it down.
They prepare the they put something underneath and just use that on top. So
What's that
there's
underneath?
there's a separation there. And, you know, in my mind, my simplistic way of thinking about it, because I don't know more about it, it's the same material that's all over on the roads,
Right.
Which isn't
Yes.
good.
which,
Which is
as
not-
it-
is
when
not
it's
good.
impervious, it's worse. But
Yeah.
from a,
But also
from a
the
what's
makeup
content,
of it, like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
it's
So
actually made
that's
of.
my-
but
Is
we're-
there a place that it exists that, whatever they're gonna do, where does that exist now that we could see
Elderslie
it?
parking.
Eldersley's parking. Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying.
The driveway or
It's
the
very-
actual parking area?
It's very cruddy
The-
over there.
The
Or
parking.
both?
They've,
Eldersley?
the parking area, I don't know how
That's
much
on
they've gone up
Hill.
the driveway. That lot,
So you kind of go into the woods and you park in there and it's very, like,
I-
it's
that lot was terrible,
terrible. It
but
still
now,
is.
you go now,
Really?
yeah.
When did they do it recently?
I don't know when they did it, I was there, I wanna say 8 months ago, and it was just
Improved?
very improved.
Yeah, there were huge holes. I mean,
Yeah.
you had to go, I have a
Very
Subaru,
carefully.
but like, you have
Yeah.
to be very gentle going
So
in.
is this something we feel like we can make a vote on now? I mean, is time of the essence?
Well, yes, because I think
the budget?
you want to get it, you know, when it comes forward in the budget, you don't want them to say, oh, yes, right, we approve this. That would be good. I think
I
there's
feel like
goodness
I
in
need
that.
to see.
It's
this
not
stuff.
clear, because it's $5,000, I think Tony needs to take a decision on whether that's gonna be operating or capital, because that's right on the border of those two.
It's the
that's-
state road, so who's required to maintain that entranceway over time?
Well, it'd be like any driveway off a state road, it's
Okay.
whoever owns the property.
Okay. Do we plow?
Do we own it or does the state own it?
We own
The
it.
property, we own the
We
property.
own it, but we used it,
It's the
we
state
got it
fund.
through state funds.
I was
So,
just talking about the entrance.
I think we
on
need to
state
keep
road.
moving along. So, where are people
I would love to
after
see you
this?
vote on it, because, you know, you have to discuss it. I'm gonna leave, you have to discuss it, but if you could discuss it, to me, you know, it just brings a lot of value, and I hope you'll see it the same. And if so, then
So-
you take it and recommend it.
Thank you for bringing this to us. I have some questions. I'm like, 94.2% in favor of this, with some like caveats of getting clarification around the material and the environmental impact it would have with stormwater runoff and water nearby. um, permeability, what the makeup of is, of that,
Recycled.
that thing you're talking, no,
Mill?
that's what I was,
Mill?
yeah, but no, the,
The surface
The underneath.
yeah, that layer in there, right,
Yeah,
because.
I'll ask them what,
In my mind, I'm thinking they put that layer in there to
It's like a membrane.
separate.
yeah, I don't think, don't think of it as a membrane, I maybe mischaracterized it. I know they said
it's
they do
another
some
form of gravel.
preparation. They dig it
Yeah.
out, and I
It's a
think they
stabilizing
roll
gravel,
it,
probably.
Yeah,
they
Exactly.
make it
like
flat.
rough,
Yeah.
the
I don't
rough.
think that they're gonna put in a membrane.
But
Okay.
even more important than to find out what is the reaction of this, the millions, I mean, it must be perfectly well known because they do use
Yeah,
these.
it's been used, so I didn't,
But-
again, it's not a novel concept here.
Oh, right, and, but,
Questions?
But so, I mean, I
ask.
guess if it's crushed that, are there other options of crushed material that we can use?
Would change the budget of it a lot.
It might,
Mhm.
yeah, it might, or maybe there's a nice company that wants to donate it, but just the question of, water flows downstream, what do we,
Yeah.
what
How
are we
far
putting
away is the
into it?
water from it?
The Race Brook.
Well,
Yeah.
Racebrook is,
pretty close, not that close.
Where it
yeah,
would be
you
like
you could do a
this?
measure online and add the town.
Well,
Yeah,
they could,
well-
we could ask them to do a berm or something too,
You just-
to
Or
prevent it.
swale.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very far away.
It's pretty
I
far
think it's pretty
away.
far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that that's, I think the question is, are we comfortable disrupting 1,000 square feet of what was state-owned, granted property that was disturbed?
Is it possible to get the answers to the questions before our January 5th meeting?
I wanna
I think
see,
it's a
the-
January
I
2nd
can't
meeting.
vote on it without seeing it, 'cause you said there were going to be some trees cleared out, right? And,
My memory is it's 2 or 3 trees.
okay, so is
and-
it fairly clear now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. This is not the best, Joy, but you can look at the area and see it's not dense. These are not old growth trees we're talking about.
Yeah, it's
What is the,
pretty-
And especially
shutting on
if you
the-
look online at the
It's-
property, I think you can see it even better.
It's
Mm.
fairly
And
open.
I'll leave you to do that,
Mhm.
But I wonder why it's fairly open.
see.
Why it's fairly open?
Uh-huh.
Did it used to be farmland?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, there's a wall there, so
Well,
I'm
at
guessing
some
that
point
it,
it was,
it
but
was.
Oh,
it
yeah,
was
it was,
100 years
it
ago.
was
Man, it
farmland.
was farm
I
area.
mean, it's Woodbridge. So I think this, we should try to get some answers before the next meeting so that we can have, what are your thoughts, Sharon?
I don't know why, but I'm pretty comfortable with it, but I'm more than willing to, and I think the time is a important factor.
Well, it's nice that our next year's calendar,
But,
we meet so much earlier in the
that's
month.
true, we meet earlier in the month, and so that it will be sooner, so maybe, Diana, we can create a list of questions for Tim, or Tim, do you feel like you know the questions that we wanna have answered?
I know a couple, if you want,
Are there any
better if
more,
you
so
put
we-
together a list and we can,
Sure.
Getting access to open space is a good thing from my perspective.
Mm-hmm.
We have all this beautiful open space, it's nice for people to actually get in to see it and use it.
I
Yeah,
agree,
it's
and I
nice to
think
have it there. I think the idea of it is wonderful. I mean, I really only have the one question.
Yeah, I
Well, I
love the
mean-
idea of conserving the embodied energy of whatever
You-
the cost was to make that pavement and then being able to reuse it again.
yeah. You could
Just to make sure I'm not washing out anything.
recommend the area to the Board of Selectmen
Mm-hmm.
and say you would like to have Public Works address, containment of runoff when they do it, et cetera. And then
Proper
Yeah.
drainage
Just turn
so
it
it
over
doesn't become a
for-
place.
Yeah,
for
so
that
turn
to
on
be
the
done.
authorities and let the,
and the implementation.
Mhm.
And, and maybe because, again, in my suggested set of steps, if the recommendation of the Board of Selectmen would be, of course, would be contingent on inland wetlands. You know, give it to the Board of Selectmen first, let them approve it before it went to inland wetland. But when it goes to inland wetlands, maybe they can comment on, maybe they have expertise on
Well, they would be
on
the better people to be commenting on that, indeed, it's really their issue,
Yeah,
the runoff issue. We could just say, we'd like to make sure that,
yeah.
but we aren't the experts on that, we'd like wetlands to.
Something that had
Again-
proper signage, so something that's not intended to be a good thing or an added feature for the town doesn't become an eyesore or a problem where kids hang out and so forth. So if there's proper signage that makes sure it's dawn to dusk type of thing, that
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be nice.
Like the other parks.
Exactly.
So, given that those caveats might be dealt with by other people,
That's what I'm seeing, yeah. I'm reading your whole thing now, Tim, that you had sent over, so we're really just the endorsement piece, and then it has to go through all the other measures. You know, has quite a process that it still needs to go through.
Yeah.
And
And
things that
let-
we can't.
Let the Board of Selectmen say this is a good idea for the town and then get it to happen.
Mhm.
Now, you have the relationship within the wetlands, you can perhaps be part of those conversations or not.
right?
Aren't you?
Well, I have been, but I'm not present.
Yeah, but you
Yeah,
know, you talk to them about
Yeah.
different properties and so on. That's all.
so
Do you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to endorse the parking space that gives us access to the Woodbridge portion of the Racebrook track. So, with a parking space that is as seen on the map that Tim Austin presented to us.
With recommendations for environmental.
Oh, with recommendations for environmental, under
Impact
impact.
assessment.
Yeah,
Okay.
on the material being used and also any impact on wetlands as a result of this.
Okay, hang on. Motion was made to endorse the, what is this?
Woodbridge
The
portion of the Racebrook
Racebrook track.
track.
track in the township of Woodbridge.
We're a township?
No, in the town of Woodbridge.
The town of Woodbridge, oh my god.
Stop it, hold on. Okay. To endorse,
Hold on, I'll get it.
parking,
The location of the proposed parking area
thank you,
in the town of Woodbridge at 977 Racebrook Road.
As described by.
for access.
And you can put in like see attached, you know, and we can just attach Tim's.
With an environmental impact assessment of
For the 24-foot wide driveway.
No,
for the parking
Any grading or,
area, materials and construction. There we go, simple enough. Okay, so motion was made to endorse the proposed location of the parking area in Woodbridge.
the Woodbridge
Lo-
portion of Racebrook
Yeah,
track.
located at 977 Racebrook Road for access to the Racebrook track.
And
okay.
track is with a
T.
T. Mhm.
Oh, I did have it right the first time.
Trails.
Trails, tracked trails. Okay. With an environmental assessment for the parking area, materials and construction. Okay, so I'm gonna say the parking area
Dependent on
signage.
inland wetlands approval.
Do we have to say?
This is not how.
We don't have to get
law.
into,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Okay.
I'm just saying with it, with an environmental impact assessment
Can
for
you
the
read me
parking
the
area.
proposal that I'm about to?
Oh gosh, okay, hang on. All right, so a motion was made to
by Sharon
endorse,
Sakai. I mean, in the notes you'll have to.
Yeah. A motion was made to endorse the proposed location of the parking area and signage in Woodbridge, I'll say at the Racebrook track in Woodbridge at 977 Racebrook Road, for access to the Racebrook track trails with an environmental impact assessment for the parking area. I'm just gonna, yeah,
Dependent on the outcome of the
Yes.
environment.
Contingent on
contingent.
the results
And,
and.
you know, Warren Connors, who you put in, said, take it in the wetlands, and that may be what he was thinking, that this material is gonna be used, and maybe he wanted to make sure they made that assessment.
Okay.
Well, now
Okay.
that I think of it, that's probably why you put that in.
Does anyone want to second this?
I'll second.
All right, so just put Barbara seconded it. But you made the motion.
I did not.
Okay, and it was seconded by Barbara. And then all those in favor?
Any
Barbara,
discussion?
how much rum did you put in that frosting?
She was hoping to like overcompensate.
Listen, I'm sorry, but the Board of Selectmen wiped me out yesterday, so I'm like looking in one eye right now. Okay. All right.
Any discussion? Okay, any votes?
All those in favor?
All those in
There we
favor?
go.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and just put too that who's here.
Yeah, that goes up earlier.
Okay.
I don't have to write.
Well, thank
she's
you.
gonna do the rest of it.
Thank you.
Oh,
you.
okay.
And the meeting is, we need to talk to Allison about putting it on the meeting agenda. You can help remind us to do that. And,
And you have to go in front of the Board of
I-
Selectmen.
I would, the other action item you would have is to appoint someone to draft a letter of recommendation to the Board of Selectmen.
You don't have a letter already proposed?
No, I put some points of
He-
discussion.
The points are here,
Okay.
suggested discussion points with Board of Selectmen, so we could whip something up pretty easily.
go for it, Joyce.
Sounds like a good job for Joel.
That worked out just the way I wanted.
There you go.
So we got an action item. You don't have
Anything else you
worry
want to
about
put on the agenda today?
Okay.
Thank
That was a
Thank
you.
you
long
very
5
much.
minutes.
It was nice to see you all again.
It's really
Yeah,
good to
nice
see
to
you.
see you.
Thanks for bringing this up.
Sure.
Yeah.
Tim,
And let's walk soon.
let's walk soon.
Yeah, I
It
can.
disappears.
I'll let you know what I find out on
Yeah.
The Leatherman?
Saturday.
Anyone
about
wants
the
to come with
Leatherman.
us, we're gonna do an explore in the woods.
Where's that?
Where the Leatherman had his,
Trying to find where the Leatherman
Where
had
the
his
cave,
cave.
the cave?
And it's in the ledge, right near the Merritt Parkway and Fountain Street come together. The old article Barbara found talked about the Leatherman walking up Long Hill, which is Fountain Street, it's the long hill, going past the pond, I think we called it, taking a left and going into the woods. So it's in there.
Park Hill.
And it talked about the Merritt Parkway kind of coming very close to where it was. So we have those hints, and we're gonna go try to find it.
and we have the man who
Okay, we
bought
got
it.
Oh,
Thank
So
you all.
I
Thanks,
have,
Bye,
Tim.
Tim.
Happy holidays.
I'll let you know.
They're doing this fourth, what are they doing
I
this
think we
month?
need to stay on track here.
Keep going.
He
Okay,
and I
next
are
thing-
doing it, I don't know when.
Barbara,
I'm finding, I'm
Valerie?
going to a little bit more. Yes?
We now have the POCD that we're gonna deal with. And I have a lot of information here that is a little bit, not as well organized as it could be, but pieces of, that would be helpful. Valerie, how about if you sit over here, because we're gonna have to
Oh, okay.
look at share things.
Look at behind you.
this Tim's?
Mine.
Oh, okay. You think it's enough?
Yeah,
Can we take that from Barbara?
for myself, so that I can
Well,
write a little
Little messy.
thing on that
Great.
on Thursday.
Thank you, thank you.
Here's your silver.
Just put it up on top and I'll
Okay.
read it later.
okay, so. Barbara and Anna, you can look at this together. Maybe the three of us can look at this together. I think I only have 2 copies of it, so I only have 3. One, two, 3 of those. And that is,
When's the next BOS agenda?
the 8th, I think. Okay, this is something you can look at. Contained open spaces.
Sent.
Okay, I think that is from the POCD.
Right.
So you got that one. So let me give you a little overview of what I've been thinking, and it could take a lot more thought, so this is just what I've been ruminating on. I've been looking at various different plans of POCDs from different places. Greenwich, Litchfield, New Hampshire, I thought it was Litchfield, Connecticut, which had some good things, some Westport, Guilford, and they all are quite different, and they're ones that have more associated with sustainability than ours was, and ones that have, and all of them have a lot of conservation and open space recommendations. So I have hopefully put together some pieces of different ones of those that could be helpful. And so first thing, last month we talked about all the changes we wanted to make with the goals that we already had. And at some point and soon, we should go through those and then put a lot of effort on my bidding into making a format, which is what this is, of ones that, how they were and how we'd like to change them. So, and they should be gone through more carefully, but we have the page number, we have the goal and the action. And I think in blue what he did is the actions that relate to conservation or sustainability, things that we wanted to change. So do you remember that last month we saw things that conservation wasn't on, and a few things that conservation was on, and things that sustainability wasn't on, and so this document is putting the correct, what we might think of as the correct people on the different commissions. And if we get time, we should look at it, and certainly before we hand it in to anyone, we should look at it carefully. But it's a, for instance, partner with local businesses to develop a bike sharing program. We put sustainability and rec on that. I think they didn't have those on that. Considering using scenic road designations to protect winding roads and local rural character and aesthetics. We put ourselves on that because we weren't on that. The Board of Selectmen was the only ones on that. Prioritize protection of large trees, stone walls, and scenic watersheds. I think Board of Selectmen was on it, and so TP&Z was on it, but we put Conservation Commission on it as well. So that's this document. Here, you can look at it. And I didn't make tons of copies of them because
It's a lot of
it
paper.
was a lot of paper. So,
Here's a copy.
so that's one thing that I did that is, relates to how the changes that need to be made in a month. And I think maybe I can get us to put it online and we can all look at it more carefully, or we could all look at it. Somehow we all have to look at it and make a decision about it. And I don't know tonight's the best thing.
I think we should get as far with it as we possibly can.
Yes. And then,
at a time like the present, because these recommendations have to be in this month.
right, and I just copied the open space. I talked to Chris Sullivan, and I'm gonna go over with her, because I think one of the things that's most important that she highlighted that I agree with totally, and I wanna hear what you guys think, is that we need to go through all the plots of land that are large pieces of acreage in the town and make a site decision if they're important to the rural character of the town and to conservation. Because if they ever come up for sale, if they're not on that list, they're less likely to be bought. So,
Isn't that part of what we did?
That was the thing we
yes,
did.
but I don't know
finish.
that we've done it
But
as completely.
That, we didn't complete it, and that was also only parcels that were listed by owners as open space. In other words, they, for
They're-
tax purposes,
yes.
really, they listed
So
them.
what I was thinking is,
Listing
there-
is farmland, forest, or open space.
For instance, this one right down on Fountain Street, nobody's ever paid any attention to it, but it's a almost 6-acre piece of, not virgin land, but certainly
so
prime
that's what I was
woodland.
thinking, and maybe someone could come with me and go through the whole town and just make a list of all the ones that if they came for sale, we'd wanna buy them.
Another one is that one up in,
One that it just came up for sale right this week.
well, the one, I'm talking about the one up above Shepherd Farm up in back
Right.
there.
Yeah, so I don't know the town well enough, and maybe it would be good if you wanted to come, Barbara or Diana, anyone, to go through it with her. She's like, oh, you can figure it out, and I'm like, she has great maps. I think it would be a great person to go, and we could just make a list, and we can put as many on the list as we want, as far as I'm concerned.
So that's something we can do after we add that item to our list. So
Well, I
think
made a
that's-
point of the, I don't know if any of you are on like the 30th or the 31st. She says it's quiet at the office and she have time to do
The
it
31st?
in the morning.
No.
Or
Of December?
New Year's Eve?
No.
Pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Imagine. Thanks for the invite. Is the door locked or we break in? What do we do?
No, she's working.
Uh-huh.
Then we also should review this open space with the classifications and how much open and protected and unprotected space is. And I think Chris Sullivan could also be helpful with that, given.
So we're trying to reclassify what those are?
No, we're trying to make sure that these are the correct numbers still. That there's the
Okay.
percentage, and I think we need to assess whether they're accurate, because they're gonna go in the POCD.
Okay. So is that part of the goals or the actions that we're adding here?
No, these are different tasks all involved in creating the information that we need to send to the town, TP&Z. One of them is names of all the open space that we'd like to acquire if they came up for sale. Another is, what is the open space that exists right now and what are the classifications of it? Is it,
Whether it's protected or it's just
but it's
open
not, or
space.
whether, and who owns it? Is it private ownership, medicinally protected, state protected, RWA, the Regional Water Authority?
A lot of that's done.
And it's all done, we just have to make sure that
There
it's
are a few
accurate.
things that
It's
hide
all
in
right
there
there.
that you don't know about.
Well, that's the old one.
Right,
So we have to, yeah.
we have
The-
to talk to some people.
The work that we were doing with Tim all that while ago was to have those numbers
And to review those
be
properties
correct.
Right,
and to highlight those and say, yes, I
We're
think these
still
are worth
recommending,
conserving for
Mhm.
these reasons, right?
Right.
We
Well,
wanna
that's
see,
Once again, those are only the ones that are listed
right,
by the taxpayer.
so we're saying we wanna add,
So
We wanna
I
sit
think
with-
it seems to me that it would be a good idea for us to know about some of these. Well, for instance, there's one that just came up for sale. It's over on Seymour Road, it's behind everything.
that's
I
the
didn't even know it existed.
230,
230, yeah.
230,
It's
something.
behind the cemetery, it's a whole bunch of land over there, not, you know.
so all properties that are worthy of saving, whether we know about them or don't, we need to identify those in the next 3 weeks. And the second thing is,
do we though?
Hold on. We have to send our recommendations to the, for the POCD
By the 31st.
by Friday.
this Friday?
by the 31st.
They're meeting on Monday, right? To talk about it?
I don't know about that. Who is?
TPZ?
Rika sent out a letter saying it was by the 31st.
Okay.
They are still, they're meeting about it, but I don't think that they really necessarily care about what we have to say about it yet. They canceled that, right? And then there's that one.
For the purpose of meeting and taking appropriate action with the Commission's Plan of Conservation Development, Consulting's SLR International regarding ongoing work of the update.
So, you,
Well, they
Kinda-
should inform us. Who informed you of that? Did you get informed of that? I never got informed of that.
I mean, they meet every 2 weeks.
they're gonna meet about that.
This Friday? As in tomorrow?
No, the 16th.
Sorry.
Their meeting was
We have to
canceled.
have it in by the Friday. They are meeting on the 16th, which is Monday. They like to meet every other Monday.
But if they don't have conservation's information,
I'm just
I don't think it's gonna
completely
get in their
confused that
way.
They haven't been in touch with me. How did you guys find out about this meeting?
It's listed on their agenda.
I know, but don't they need to inform us that they want this information?
They're not
Just-
informing anybody of anything. They just had a public hearing
Okay, I know.
and didn't inform anybody in town. Why would we think they would start informing us of something else we're supposed to be
So
working
maybe
on?
one of us should, the two of us should call Robert Klee and say that we are not prepared because we were not informed of this meeting and they would like them to delay it a month or weeks or whatever.
I mean, they're not very specific about what they're talking about. They're talking about updates to the POCD.
Well, maybe they're, okay, so let's just keep going with what we're doing. Is that okay with you guys? So,
I
Oh.
saw, this is their old meeting, right? I saw this
Yeah,
meeting.
no. That, I just pulled that up for fun.
Oh, okay, that is fun.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I did watch the meeting. And, so, but my understanding is that even though all the commissions have been told to have their sort of list together for the POCD, it's our recommendations, by the 31st. What they're meeting about on Monday, that they were going to meet on the 11th, but they canceled it and bumped it to the 16th, is not separate of, because it is the POCD, and they're working with the consultant for that, to draft it, but all of the information coming from the commissions, I don't think is going to be discussed in that meeting. I think that that's gonna be January, because they're expecting our information to trickle in this month. And whether or not they're even gonna read it, or utilize it, or do whatever they're going to do, I'm guessing the consultant's going to look at it and take it into consideration and, populate it
Well,
into
maybe
the
we should
report the way they are going
formally
to, but
express our concern that we have.
this
given
has been
no
the
guidance.
concern. There's
So,
the guide, the
but
lack
let's see
of guidance.
Are we don't have much time, so I have other things that I've tried to help us progress on. Is there other things that? So, there's the actions that have been from the POCD in 2015, and there's some modifications we want to make about them, especially who's responsible for what, and maybe even cross a few out because some of them have been accomplished, like the dog park, or not many have been accomplished, to tell you the truth. And then there's actions that we want to add. And I've written a few proposals of actions that we might want to add.
Okay.
And I want us to also look at like Ridgefield and look at us, after I've given those, I think we can come up with some other ideas if we want to. And that's looking at maintaining open spaces that was done in Ridgefield, and then someone that was done in another town, just to give us, fertilize our ideas of what we might not be thinking about that we might want to also add to this.
Okay.
So, in terms of possible goals and actions for the POCD from the Conservation Commission is open space protection to decrease human encroachment on otherwise undeveloped land. And I think we need to emphasize that. That is in other parts of it, but I think we need to emphasize it in a way that maybe hasn't been said
So
clearly.
that's never been in our POCD,
Okay.
stated like that.
Okay, well then maybe
So
we
where
get to
would
say-
it live, I guess, that's the
Well,
key
let's
thing.
first, that's what they're gonna decide.
Okay,
They're gonna put it under conservation, that's a section that's conservation, I would think.
so what I'm also confused about is they're having this planner come in to do this. Is the strategic plan another overlay on it? Cause I've been
Are you
looking
talking
at,
about the,
I've
Wait,
been
can I
looking at
just
the
finish this
strategic
and
plan, I mean, look at all these plans.
hold on, the strategic plan though, but that is specifically around the country club?
This, well, the section that it does say, okay, about the country club, right? So,
Is this year's strategic plan?
yes, so I went through that as well because I'm trying to think, it's like this multi-layered
Wait,
thing.
but where did you get that?
The town,
Okay,
this is the town's strategic plan
from last year or what the
From
evolving
now.
one is for now?
through 12/20/31/2025. Now, they are literally, I think they just talked about this at last night's meeting, they've kind of are.
Call that?
Sort of, this is sort of like a working draft, and I feel like they're starting to kind of tweak some of this.
Can you
Like,
give us
they
an
have-
example?
Like, for instance, there's this thing about workforce housing goals, and they're kind of like, it's come up multiple places on this
It's
strategic
no other
plan.
POCD that I've looked at, can I just look at?
This is not the POCD, but I know that the town planner is using this as well to, so like for
I understand.
instance,
Okay,
when you
hang
go
on one
through,
second, hang on.
it's like all the different goals. So it's a strategic plan for the town, right? So that's different than the POCD, but obviously.
Okay, I don't wanna be here until midnight,
Right,
put a pin in this one for a second,
but just
until
the,
we understand.
the country club, you know.
There's all
and
sorts of
all
things in there that
things.
probably like dovetail together.
Yes,
Okay, but instead of looking at this without context and knowing what it is, let's focus on what the recommendations are that Sharon and Ben have gone through. We've all read our sections, I'm sure, of,
and some of these,
POCD?
like I said,
Wait, you're
will be
interrupting.
part of it,
We need,
you know.
I'm sure, absolutely, but do you know which ones fit into where?
So when she reads them, the new ones that she has, you know, that she's suggesting that we have, then I can maybe help.
here, it's right here. I
Yeah,
think I
it's
took
on
your
that
copy.
smaller, yeah.
I may not have given, I
No,
didn't
I
have
do,
copy.
it's buried in
No,
there
I think I
somewhere.
might have taken yours.
Okay,
Oh, okay.
let's stay focused on this.
So that's number one.
I don't know if there's any influence that we have on the strategic plan.
No, but what I'm saying is, because we know that this is where they're going, is that something like this, for instance, they have one of their things, a tactic F in this strategy 7 is focusing on sustainability, environment, and energy efficiency to identify and implement climate change adaptation and mitigation practices. So that part of it, I know is part of the state POCD, okay, is their
So I think
huge
we can give
portion
them
of
our
that.
portion of what we think, and they're gonna have to fit it in the way they want, and we can argue with it if we don't like how it's fit in.
Okay, let's see how they have like create a tree inventory and plan to ensure climate resilience, provide public shade, provide wildlife and pollinator habitat,
Great.
enhance scenic routes and protect.
So all we
town-
need to say is that the actions that we recommend support a tactic
So
in
we're
this.
in that, you know, like, so you know how they would have all the letters, it was like Conservation Commission,
Right,
Coopop, Rec,
I know, we know.
right, Board of Selectmen.
Okay,
That's one of
so
them.
I wanna go through this and see
Yeah.
what you guys think, because I
You
think,
took my copy, so,
Of
well,
what?
I'm reading it to
She's
you.
reading.
I'm reading it to you.
okay,
So the first one is open space protection to decrease human encroachment on otherwise undeveloped land.
okay.
The next one is develop a method to qualify the ecological and economic value of open space. So I think with science evolving and everything being so transactional and economically based, that if we can, in the next 10 or 15 years, quantify this tree is, you know, it's sort of like Andrea was indicating, that there's now lots of these metrics that associate the carbon sequestration with this value and the stuff that's under the ground with this value. I know nothing about that, but I think it would
It's already
substantiate.
been done in the iTree app.
Yeah, well, so maybe it doesn't take much work, but we could have them, we could become conscious of that and use that as a way to leverage the importance of open space, because,
That's
It's-
number 2, right?
yes,
So if we had a system that could do that, and that we would say conservation reports on it on a yearly basis and say, this is the actual measured ecological and
benefit of the open
of
space
the
in our
open
town.
space of the town, exactly.
I don't
Or
know.
not even just the town, that's a state and county, I mean, that's
I know,
a
but
regional thing.
I can't even do it for my yard, so I'm gonna be glad if it, but do you guys think that this is a goal that might be interesting and helpful for
Well,
the town?
especially with AI, like
Absolutely.
that's
Right.
one of the sort of
Okay.
future things.
Okay.
that
Were
it
they
does,
trying to
right?
quantify that yesterday in the meeting, how to achieve that?
Yes,
Yeah,
they were.
The quality of that, or what that
Yes,
actually
and,
meant?
and
that
there's
there were
probably
different-
Yale students who could help us do it, or who knows what we could do.
So number 1, I'm confused about, Sharon. Can we go
Open
back
space
to-
protection to decrease human encroachment on otherwise undeveloped land? You're
Yeah.
confused about that? What's confusing about that?
I would need to know, like, how is that defined, you know, because when we say to decrease human encroachment, I know what you mean, because I know what you mean. But I'm, you know, when you're talking
Well,
about
this is
using
the
the
goal,
space,
and then you can do action plans. So,
so are the action plans coming out of, under these numbers?
yes, and I think I did not develop them, and I think we could. And I do agree that it's vague, but goals are often sort of sweeping, because we know we can't
That's
have
what they-
no encroachment, but but I think it implies that human encroachment is not beneficial to the
Open space.
to open space, and otherwise undeveloped land is beneficial, and that's sort of what I was trying to get at, and people can word it differently. I have no attachment to this wording. Deter plants that are deemed invasive in our natural habitat. Get Public Works involved, these are the action parts. Get Public Works involved, create a liaison between Public Works and Conservation Commission. Encourage best practices for removal of invasive species that both the town, Public Works, and the town residents can learn about. Create a work or other, with others to develop a large volunteer or paid workforce for invasive species removal. Get other land protection agencies involved in helping our, oh, that's actually, my husband did this wrong, that's actually 4, and then the other one's 5. Get other land protection agencies involved in helping to fund our acquisition
E should be
of
4.
Okay.
protected open space, and minimize the increase of impervious surfaces and decrease the carbon footprint of the town of Woodbridge. So those are the ones I came up with. I'd love to go, and this is the POCD that I copied by mistake from New Hampshire, and it has a whole list of invasive species, and I think we could
Adopt. Listing.
adopt a list for Connecticut that is probably already written, and we could
Or
remember
I
yeah.
say
that POCD has
like
it.
collaborate with,
A lot of them are in that
Parks.
report, and
But maybe the
Yeah.
POCD has invasive species list.
It seems to me this is where we should recommend what Ben has recommended, that we develop a town plan for invasive species.
invasive species
Well,
management.
I think that's what I'm kind of implying.
That is what
could
you're
be-
implying, but I'm just saying.
It can be
we
said
need to
more
say
clearly.
Very,
so-
very,
A town plan,
Yeah, so
For
deter
managers-
plants that,
invasive species.
management
so,
of
yeah,
invasive
number
species.
3, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's the idea, is that we're taking on,
So
Being
develop,
tender.
implement,
well, so part of the deal, like, so get other land protection agencies involved. I would say just partner with land protection agencies to provide adequate funds. in,
well, there's
you
lots
know,
of ways to
to-
partner, like Audubon is
acquisition.
partnering with us without doing funds, they did a research thing. Deep is doing it with maybe giving research or not. I'm now getting in touch with, which I want to talk to you guys about, with the Nature Conservancy, and I'm just about to send them all the stuff on the Woodbridge Country Club. land to see if they wanna either give us guidance or about how important it is, or if they wanna acquire it, if that would be an interesting thing for the town, if they got $9 million for that land, they could then go put $9 million for someplace else that maybe we all might think was more appropriate for putting some of this housing on. So I don't know, I'd like to leave it open as how we communicate with, and we can look at other towns and see what they did, and how they word it. But I'm not opposed to that, I just think we wanna give ourselves,
Yeah, I'm looking at the Ridgefield one and just seeing how they are listing some of theirs. So, okay.
so those are the ones I've started. I don't wanna make us have too much work in the next 10 years, but I'm certainly interested
I
in what
think we
anyone
also
else
want to
thinks.
add to it, develop and maintain a forest management plan.
Yes.
A forest management.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that sounds like a lot of work.
Because even, well, think about it though, like even
And that doesn't have to be us by
What
ourselves.
Warren was saying, just on the scenic road, which is this little tiny road, okay, that this is all because of saplings that were not manicured or dealt with way back when, and the whole town is that, you know? And you imagine like, you know, something like the country club, you know, where it is just invasive city, and that stuff is, the birds are dropping that now in all of our lands and properties all over Woodbridge
Well,
and spreading.
I don't think that the Woodbridge Country Club is the source of it, to tell you the truth. I think there's.
I don't think it's about the source, but it's certainly not helping that we've left 155 acres completely go to seed and just not managed it at all in this amount of years.
I don't think
It's
that's-
almost
okay.
2 decades,
I don't
but
think it's 155 acres of invasive species that have
So
gone to
anyway-
seed, but I see what you're saying. There
Yeah.
are areas that.
but
And I think the-
without a management plan
So
for the
mine was
town
on
of
a
Woodbridge.
forest management plan, and then we also said invasive species management plan. So I think both of those plans are important to put in there. I agree, absolutely.
Okay,
And that can
sure.
include things like identification of and information, like the subsections of that are, you know, identification of and inventorying, you know, what we have in our trails and our open space areas.
Wow,
And
I guess, I agree, I think it's a great idea, it's just that,
Well, I mean, if we
All of
have a greenway and we have the trail system, I mean, you know that that's their usage. We are able to have like a self-monitoring system of knowing how
Yeah.
things are going year to year.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
great.
we have
Our own
We
people.
have a trail master, we have the
Yeah.
scouts, we have ourselves, I
Yeah.
think, you know, we
think
started
it's
doing
great.
that great,
But
like trail hike routine, we could go through that and identify things that are happening. I'm not saying it's the only way that we identify them, but there should be some way that we can
and
identify
I
and
think
inventory.
making this visionary is very important, because otherwise it won't happen, and it won't be utilized.
And also under like the forest management, that can include like a tree
A tree ordinance.
protection.
Or
ordinance
even
we've
an
been talking
ordinance, I
about.
mean, absolutely, you've been talking about that for
So
years,
can
right?
so maybe we can look at some of the others and see if it sparks other ideas. I'll read
Sure.
some of the ones.
Are we
from-
gonna go through that whole list that we went through before about where we needed to be added?
Well, we can do that, maybe, this is sort of,
We've already identified that, right? We have our notes of where we should be added.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
but we might disagree on some.
This is.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On
This is
this,
I'm not sure what that is.
page
says
91,
who's on what town
Wait, let's listen to Val.
open
This
space.
is us though.
For me, I always like to see a movement with percentages. Like, do we have that?
Gained or lost, you mean?
That's great. What did we gain in open space? What did we lose? Balance that against
Why don't
housing.
you put
We
a
can
note
see-
on that, so
We
gain or
can see
loss of
some kind
open
of
space?
progression.
Gain
Did we,
or loss?
do we have more open space? Do we have less open space? We certainly have more
What's that-
housing.
What's that called, distribution?
The
of
ratio?
space?
Yes, I'd like to see where we were in
Like
2015 versus
gain
where we
or
are
loss.
now. And I don't see that on here.
Like
So
I
that
was
would
be a
amazed
better
when I
reference.
looked at that
I think
open
you're right,
space plan
but
over there.
are you willing
That's
to work on that?
1984. It isn't that much different
Because
than,
I'm working on like
No.
12 or 14 things.
there is
Well,
some difference, but
so
not that
I
much.
would work if I had,
Thank
if
you.
I have the information from 2015, it was just
That
doing
is
the,
the information from 2015.
oh, this is from 2015?
That's the POCD information
From 2000, so that if we had it for now, for 2000, going to
Yeah, so you could
2025,
go
then we
to
could
Chris
just.
Sullivan and ask her if there's changes, and if you want to take that on, that would be, I think, a great idea.
Right, then we
because-
could talk about movement and where we were
I
and
think-
how successful we were.
And I think even in the future, it would be,
That-
what was the carbon sequestration or loss for our town
Right.
over the, each year, if we
Right.
could get to that. But
That would make more sense to me than not have a starting point.
Val, I
and-
totally agree.
Okay.
Do you guys agree that it's something that gives us a
No, I think
context
it's
of? So if you want to, could you, because we're all needing,
Right.
we're working a lot. So
No,
we
I
need help.
understand. Do we have to just use ourselves? Can we use other people from
Yeah,
town?
yeah,
We can?
go to Chris Sullivan, that's what I'm saying. Say,
Yeah,
I
she's
need your help.
available on,
You can
December
call her.
31st.
You can,
No, she's
you can
available
email
other
her,
times.
you can call her.
She's being a
But
little
no, I
sick.
mean, other residents, like, we can't do this with other people.
Well, that's a
my
good
husband.
question. Well, yes, you can use your,
Oh, okay.
yeah, no. I mean, he's not gonna be the one
For
signing.
better or for worse.
Right.
yeah, can I use your husband? Can you take some notes for us? Where is he?
My husband Xeroxed all this stuff, so.
Okay.
Identify open space parcels with single plaque and so is appropriate to provide parking and facilities for their designated areas. So this is, I'm reading something from another town. Um, So other towns have been more specific and less specific.
This is an action item that we should be on.
Yes, us too. That's what I thought.
Are you looking at a different list than me?
Yeah.
Is that one of the copies I didn't get?
I don't know
Well, we
what
don't
this
have
is.
many copies of that because I didn't want to do.
I'm sure it is. We got a lot of copies going around.
Okay.
Just gonna give that back to you.
All right, so can we regroup? We've gone through some of the action items we want to add.
Yes.
Barbara, do you want to add any others?
Potentially.
We should add a lot of others.
I thought-
Are we adding all of the things, of all the things we should be added to? Remember we went through this whole list?
Wait.
I'm so
Wait,
confused.
let's stop. I created a document that shows all the things we talked about before that we should be added to, that we can review after we do this. So this is not about what we want to be added to, this is what we want to envision for the future.
Okay.
That's the part.
Additional
So
things you
the
wanna add to.
future, I think we need a pollinator pathway for
Sure.
the town.
Let's
so
go
we-
pollinator management plan.
We added,
Adding all these
so
management
the-
plans.
the
Management,
kids
I
got
like that.
got it added, proclaimed that we are part of the pathway.
Awesome.
But now I think we need a plan for the pollinator pathway.
I'm not sure what that means, because I don't know how you plan for pollinators, because they're bugs that go wherever they want, but I think that
No,
if you
No, no, no,
want-
she's
No,
talking about.
we
no.
have a plan, meaning like, is it
Pollinator.
outreach, we educate our townspeople to know, like, if you do this in your yard, you are part of the solution.
Okay,
Okay,
so,
or if there are properties like the country club property, no matter what happens to that property, we absolutely need to have a wildlife corridor, we need to have a pollinator pathway, that
Okay.
needs to be incorporated in there
So-
somehow.
okay, so maybe on that, you should write the action plans that you think would be good, that are not, that would, you think that the TP&Z will incorporate.
Okay, so I'm gonna add to your list that,
I already put pollinator pathway and develop a maintenance forest management plan. But yes, and I think that, and make it so that they're achievable, that's the thing. Or
Right.
possibly achievable.
cause that is truly
Okay.
one of the only things
Okay,
that would unify people in this town, no matter
Okay.
what.
I'm
Their
not
situation
interested.
is.
Val, do you have any other things you'd like to add to these possible goals at this moment? We have some time, but I just want to know if there's anything.
No, none of this, I'm just reviewing this.
Yeah.
So the goals from the 2015,
I think you need to look at the document that's been updated so that you see.
This is sort of important. This was 2015 that,
Yeah.
this was 2015. Oh,
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Just gonna sit over here and eat some sugar.
Paul, can,
Is this the document you're looking at now?
yes, can maybe,
Why is this a goal? Pursue development proposal for age-restricted lifestyle housing.
wait. A lot of those goals are not our goals. We're not involved in them. We're
They
only
are the
involved-
POCD's goals, though. The 2015 POCD, that was a goal of it.
Previously.
And the Board of Selectmen had it, see how it says BOS, probably right next to it?
But Paul, we should.
And then
find
we
out
went
what's
through that
happening.
whole list to figure out where we should also be on it.
Okay, so this is the plan. This is the one that it started with, and then Ben, after I did some stuff.
That was from all our notes
Just for
from
you.
last time. We
Yeah.
were here, we went through the whole thing.
I know,
And
that's
you-
what I'm showing
And
you.
you added
That's
us
what I'm
where
showing
we
you.
should be
Yes,
added. Got
yes,
it.
and I just wanted people to review it so that we all agreed to it, to make sure that is what. So all these don't relate to us, this does, and in bold print is where we've added ourselves. So that doesn't relate, but this, we thought sustainability might wanna be on that one.
Mhm.
We thought we should be added to building stairs, switchback trails, and Amity Road. So I think we all talked about this, I just brought it and consolidated it so that people could make sure that they agreed with it before Diana and I have a work session and put it into being a solid thing, because we're all a
Yes.
commission that has to work together.
Got it.
So I'd like people to look it over so that we know that they do agree with it before we do that.
Okay.
Okay, so we have some goals that we're looking towards in the future. We have some need for some more action plans, and we have what we figured out we want to be added to or taken away from the plan of action from before. We have a few more things to look at in terms of what other people do, and especially the Ridgefield POCD, that might just tweak a few more thoughts. And I'm trying to look for the Ridgefield one because I don't think I have it here. This is the one with numbers, this is the Ridgefield one. So, do you guys wanna look that over or read it, Diana, and see if we wanna add any of those to our things? And if you just skip any that seem really irrelevant, but.
Okay, so protecting natural resources, engage the conservation, maintenance, and planting of trees for their environmental benefit, such as interception of rainfall, removal CO2. I think that's a great one. We want to encourage the preservation, the maintenance, and the planting of trees.
Uh-huh,
That's a great one.
should we put that, should we add that?
Yes.
Sounds good to me.
In,
Anybody know if they're opposed to any of these that I read, okay?
encourage, what does it say?
Here, I'll just make a little star next
Okay.
to it.
Good, here, there's a pen.
I got it. Yay, that sounds nice. Excuse me. Protect plant and animal habitats, especially vernal pools and those listed on the state's natural diversity database. Yes, that's another good one, and that falls in line with supporting the research and the findings from the Walk with the Forester and other members at DEEP.
They also created those numbers.
So
are
this one is
hierarchy.
interesting, which I thought, this is what we were starting
So
out with.
this is-
Excuse me one second, I'm in the middle of talking. So this one is interesting because it says continue to require the use of native species in their town and discourage invasive species, which is interesting because this is how we started our conversation
yes, yes.
about the landscaping and new development and tree policies.
So this could be an action plan underneath some of the other things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think this one specifically, they continue to require, so we can't say we want to continue to require. We can say we want to work, to
Encourage.
create, well, I don't know, create
So
an
I think
ordinance.
what substantiates this is when we go to TP&Z and we say we want these, and they'll say, oh, you're doing too much stuff. We might say, well, it fits in with the state plan of conservation and an exemplary town called
We'll
Lake
just say we're
Ridgefield.
really good volunteers, okay, and we can outrun them. Okay, so instead of continue to require, we'll just say we will create an ordinance to require or encourage the use of, I'm not trying to,
Restore native plant diversity. So in Ben's thing that he took time to do,
The talking points.
okay, those talking points would actually be better than, that's a nice jumping off point, but we already did this work. And part of it was the key themes, which would be kind of like our focus areas, would be rare and critical habitat, invasive species control, which we already talked about, habitat enhancement, which is about restoring native plant diversity, particularly in
that's
meadows, wetlands,
specifically
forests,
the management
understories.
recommendation for the former country club.
But
So-
this could be anywhere
So
in
do you-
town.
My
We could
suggestion
adapt
or my
all of
question
these.
for you is, do we want to add this to conservation management recommendations
Yes.
for the town of Woodbridge?
Yes. So remember we talked about
I
forest
think
and
it has to be
riparian
less.
management, take steps to preserve and enhance forests. This is true
Well, these
for
can be
all of
action
Woodbridge.
items.
For all of Woodbridge.
These can be action items under the
Okay.
header. So,
So even though, yes, this is where this work came
So,
from, but this would be true
natural
for,
resource management recommendations. So natural resource management for the town of Woodbridge.
yes,
That's all good?
yes. And then
Yeah,
I
it's
think we
gonna
put these
require some
key,
editing, but yes.
we just put those key themes in because they work
Where
at the
is
country
this?
club. This is, remember he put this thing together for, this was all the takeaways. He combined all the reports that had been
Okay.
done on the country club.
Mhm.
And then he had these nice key themes that were the overlaps. And those
Diana,
are
can
great
you-
things for
you
us
have
to
that? 'Cause I
adopt.
didn't-
I think you sent it to all of us.
Okay,
And we could
So
just
we'll-
adopt these.
we'll make a-
Receiving it.
so Diana, make a note that we'll refer to that. Can you, go through that list some more?
Did you say some more? You want me to keep
Do you want
going?
me to
Yeah.
keep reading it?
No, I think we need to go through these lists and just add what we want, and then we can embellish them if we think that they're pertinent.
Okay. 1, 2.
I don't think we'll use all of them.
Okay.
So remember you did all that?
Yeah, that's what that's became
That's
this.
became that. Got it.
All right. Continue to protect natural resources through the dedication of open space. Sure. All right, we want to make sure these are all in here. Continue effort to educate the public on natural resource issues such as reducing pesticides. Well, these aren't things we've done before, but I think this could be one that we create or develop an effort, or begin efforts to educate the public on natural resource issues. Encourage the Nature Center and other organizations get involved with research education, such as pollinator pathway programs. So I don't know if we have anything like that in town.
We should get it started.
Start a nature center.
Well, not a nature center, but what I hope happens with this whole big plan of the country club is that there is a piece that
You
it
better
is
start
saved for
you better
that,
start
and that
advocating
we-
for it. There is not, so you need to
Well,
talk to people.
I've talked to people.
Okay.
And
All right, well, we're getting
Okay,
there.
so protect local plants and animals and their habitats with an emphasis on minimizing habitat fragmentation. So I like minimizing habitat fragmentation. That's a good one. Keep in there. Encourage landowners to protect vernal pools, the woodlands, watersheds surrounding them. Sure. Promote efforts to maintain and improve air quality, such as reducing emissions from idling vehicles. We don't have anything like that, and we should, because people idle their vehicles all around town, and there is a state law about it. And
Okay, I mean, it depends on
idle
how
their
big a thing. I mean,
vehicles?
we're gonna
Yes.
With 40 things, it's gonna be a lot.
I don't
It's
think
okay.
that's gonna,
It's good.
how do
So-
you go about that?
Wait,
Who's
Joe-
enforcing that?
Joy, we can't, we
it's
have to just stay
signage.
on this track.
I am trying.
no, she's just asking a
I
question
am
about that.
trying to keep on track, but that's what I'm saying, is that we gotta,
Listen, listen.
Focus on what is doable.
Is this Ridgefield we're talking about? Yeah, Ridgefield's got Patrice Gillespie, okay? She's like really high up in the Clean Water Action Group. She was the one, was others behind this air quality improvement, reducing emissions from idling vehicles. It is a state law. We don't have any information on it. It would be great if we could put signage up around town letting people know that they shouldn't be doing it. Or just switch to EVs and then you don't have to worry about it.
I think not littering signs would be good too. But
Okay,
anyway,
maintain the planned residential development provisions in the zoning regulations to enable more flexible residential development patterns which can preserve important resources. Maybe we look at something like that.
I have a question.
Yep.
Should we assign points to any of these items and maybe stack rank them?
well, that's what they've done. That's
Oh,
what
you did
those
that.
letters.
So I'm wondering if we take some of these and we put them into our,
Yes.
which one falls under which maybe that's something you and I can do.
Yeah.
If others aren't opposed, we can just file them under which category we think we go.
But what Val is saying is that those numbers on the side are how people rank the importance of those to themselves in the town. They did a much more large study of random phone calls and quiz people, and this is how they rank those in terms of priority. So that's how they came up with those, is my impression.
What was it?
Minimize the disturbance of steep slopes from development.
I don't think that's as relevant. Ridgefield has a lot of steep slopes.
Okay, continue to use the natural resource inventory as a resource for helping guide overall land use and helping to inform residents, inform reviews of specific development. Okay. It's fine. Policies to protect water. Programs and efforts to maintain and improve water quality, both surface. I don't know what we've done around there, but I think
It's an interesting thought.
like the reducing fertilizer and nitrogen and runoff into our water. It's not a bad idea. That's good. Manage land activities in ways that will help protect public water. Supplies in like the water in aquifers and watershed areas. Continue efforts in protecting water courses, wetlands from development, wetland areas due to their natural resource function, vegetated buffers, ideally of natural vegetation along water courses. So
So we have that already.
I feel like that's wetlands,
So,
yeah.
but just, so when you read the whole report,
Yeah,
the old one, the Natural Resources Action Plan, Woodbridge's natural resources are vital to the town's sustainable future and natural character. Strong protection of these assets will be a community-wide effort that includes the town commissions, such as us, state departments, the regional water authority, local allies.
Mhm.
So we'll continue to protect the vulnerable species, engage with partners to protect surface water, all the agencies, preserve local scenic character. There's improved protections for wetlands, protect water quality, all those things that are in the one that you were mentioning. Avoid patterns of development
Is that your phone?
I don't know.
that harm scenic and environmental values, so expand the use of scenic road designations. That's one of the things that we're doing. Preserve farmland, fertile soils, local agribusiness.
So, okay, so it sounds like in the bulk of it, when the TP&Z and this consultant write stuff, we want to make sure they write language that's strongly supportive of the environment.
Yes.
And we may not have to put everything as a goal because it's already going to be in the bulk of the
That's what we
POCD.
need to hope, but
Well, that's what we need to
that
advocate
it
for.
carries over, because it was in the
Right.
original, well, not the
Yes.
original, but in the last version of it, and that we would like to carry that forward.
We want to carry that.
And so we've got in chapter 5, natural resources,
Right.
love the way it reads. In open space, that's another thing that we touch upon. Yes, I like how it's part of the character. It's really important that we still have this. Sustainability
Okay,
is
so
another
Joy,
section.
what I don't understand is that we're trying to think of goals that haven't been done, that we wanna,
We're trying to think of things that we want to add to it.
so if that's already there, you can tell us that, and then we don't have to add it, as long as we can make sure that it comes back.
Well, it's confusing, right? Because there's the narrative and it pops all into the different chapters under sustainability, even though conservation, it lives in there. Conservation lives in open space, conservation
Yes.
lives in all of these different chapters. But then when it goes through the actual list of action items or goals, I'm getting the two
They
confused.
get
very
The
different.
goals, and then the action under that.
Whose phone is that?
I don't, just keep going,
Okay.
keep going.
I just lost my train of thought.
Okay, so we've got action items and we've got goals, and when it comes, it's confusing because the things, conservation is sprinkled into everything, but when it talks about the lead agency, it doesn't necessarily highlight us. Is that what we're talking about? Okay, so that's why we went through, you went through some of the action items to list us in there, so maybe we should also go through the action, we went through the goals before and listed us in there. Let's go through the action items and add us into these areas as well.
We
That's-
did.
It also, you know.
I don't think we're listed as the lead agency. That doesn't necessarily mean that we are.
Barbara, what were you gonna say?
So in my notes,
Wait,
for
Barbara,
instance,
let's have a little more order. Barbara was about to speak.
I'm just saying that when you read through that 2015, the narrative says one thing and the action plans and the goals and the action plans say entirely different things in
To some
several
degree,
areas.
because I think in the action items, there's the pull between development
Right,
and, so it isn't, I mean, in the sustainability or in the open space, it's just conservation having its say, and in the action item, it's the tug between the different agencies
Who's
trying to.
leading it?
Yeah,
So, I mean, I think we add our name as the lead agency where we think it's appropriate, and that's our request, in addition to the goals.
got it. So,
Okay,
do you think
so-
it's worth going through any more of the Ridgefield stuff?
Yeah, I think it's fine.
Okay.
I mean, the water stuff,
I don't think that's as relevant for us. We aren't at that phase in our development.
I would agree.
And the,
Enhance open space preservation tools.
open space preservation, what?
Preservation tools. So the continued use of a fee in lieu of open space for strategic acquisitions that meet the open space goals. So they talked about adding a fee structure yesterday to,
for to get kind of put together.
for development, and then the fee could go into an affordable
fund.
housing fund.
I don't, well, okay.
Regardless of how we feel about that or whatever. You know, maybe there is also, you know, some of these companies that come up with recommendations in a subdivision about, you know, how much they're going to conserve on a property. They have an alternative thing of saying a
Oh,
fee
right.
in lieu of, right?
Got it.
Yeah. But I disagree with that because I think it just encourages people to not preserve the land, in my humble opinion. Use of conservation easements, both donate and acquire, as a tool in open space preservation.
I think we already do that stuff. But maybe it's, I don't know. whether-
Improve accessibility to open space for all ages and physical abilities. We could add that. I
Yep.
think that's not a bad one, where feasible.
Not a very disagreeable one either.
I think we need to maintain the open space provision in the subdivision regulations,
It's not a bad idea either.
right? Continue to provide information on open space parcels such as trails, parcels and trails such as like the Walkbook Conservation Commission website, and sponsor and events to hold open space, sponsor events on town open spaces.
That's beyond our.
Yeah,
scope.
I mean, no, we do that already, right? We provide information on
Yep.
open spaces and trails. We've got our brochures, we should continue doing that. seek opportunities to partner with other organizations, nature conservatory, others to protect open space, great, we've got that, we were talking a little bit about partnerships there. Maintain an open space database, yes, I think we need to do that. Maintain land use regulation encouraging or requiring open space preservation. That'd be great.
What did, say it again?
I said that would be great.
No, but what was?
Maintain land use regulations encouraging or requiring open space preservation.
Yeah.
Now, just to be clear, I'm agreeing with these preservation tools. They're not necessarily the tools that are the tasks that this Conservation Commission is not necessarily lead. Maintain a planned residential development provision in this, okay, great. Action steps, integrate the open space inventory into the town's GIS system. Have we done that yet?
Action what?
An action item is integrate the open space inventory into the town's GIS system.
Well, that would be interesting, that Coopop guy knows a lot about the GIS system, that would be,
Was that David?
yes.
Smart guy. Okay, preserve at least 30% of the town as open space. Continue an effort to continue that. I think we're like there or above, right? Are we 20%?
I think we're above.
Yeah.
Don't say that. They'll start getting rid of it.
Erase that last part of the meeting, please. I'm just kidding. Well, you know what, it's interesting because they talked about, we did talk about this at the TAC, which I know we'll get to later on in the agenda, but there's the idea of like towns are all supposed to have this, you know, open space percentage. But because there are some communities that will never be able to get to that percentage, that's a blended percentage around the state, because there are some super developed communities like the city of New Haven could
Right.
never get to 5%, right, let alone 30. So,
We're part of their, we kind of offset that.
right, exactly. So by, you know, Woodbridge having more than the 30%, then, you know, we're taking into account and
I also
balancing
brought
that
up with Chris Sullivan that,
deficit.
sorry. I also brought up with Chris Sullivan that a lot of the reason we have the open space, which is truly open space, but it's because of the Regional Water Authority.
Yeah.
So it isn't because we acquired it or because we're preserving it. It
It's
exists
the watershed for
Sort
the
of.
whole area.
by, by default.
It's
So
not
I-
protected either.
It's not
Yeah.
protected, yeah. So I would like to see us
It's
add
protected
some.
only to the point that the water company won't allow anything to happen.
You know, the 33% isn't all protected.
Right. I think it's important, I think that would be something that we should add here is
Percentage protected.
develop,
Do we put a cap on it?
hang on. Develop plans to help encourage, and take measures to further protect open space land in perpetuity.
I have a pen. I think that's,
Not a bad one. I do like the old preserve old railways, but instead of railways, because I know we don't really have too many of those in town, preserve old trails, and historic
why don't you make
byways.
notes on that so that we, when we look at that, we remember that.
come
I thought you were taking
to you?
notes.
No, I'm just taking notes on this
Forward
one
that,
thing.
please?
But then, okay, fine, I'm gonna find historic trails. Yeah, that was the trail thing, they got a little confused
So
on.
I don't know if we need to vote, because I don't know if we'll have another meeting before Diana and I work on this more.
Can you send some things to
But
us?
Of
I
course.
can, but we can't vote on it before January 1st.
No, but
we-
we can
do
put
we-
it in draft format
we-
for people to review.
Okay, yes.
To be
Yes.
clear, we can put it
And say it's a
in-
draft.
in draft format for people to review, but we cannot discuss it on the email. Can- And if we decide we need to have another special meeting,
Hey, sweetie, what is it?
is it Reese? Oh, no, okay, I don't know.
Okay,
What these
well,
spell.
that's
All right,
a
I
good
covered all these are good.
Okay.
I'm gonna hand them back to you because they've got my notes on them.
It seems to me, with all this confusion, which I find it confusing, that after you two put something together in draft form, that we really should have a
Another
special
meeting on it, great.
for nothing but
This.
this.
Well, you know what? Because Kathy's not here tonight, maybe we can have her here because we didn't have a budget for another special meeting. but maybe we can take those ourselves on a special meeting
Right.
also.
Bless you.
Okay, so it's.
All right, is everybody, I guess the question is, well, we need Joy to come back.
We have a
so
quorum
we-
without Joy.
We do have a quorum without Joy, but we shouldn't take a vote. She's here, she's part of the meeting, so. We should just
True.
vote that we support and endorse the actions, the draft, actions
So we should
so
make
far,
that-
and that we should continue.
So we can make that a motion, is that a motion, or
Yeah,
is
we're just
that?
gonna wait for Joy to come back.
No, but is that, do you wanna make it something we vote on that we then put in the minutes?
I mean, are we all in favor of what we've added so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Well,
And Rachel and Ben were at the last meeting. Ben was at the last meeting, Rachel was not.
Yeah.
Okay.
so, there's a lot more on our agenda. Should we maybe go down to that and come back to this when Joy's here for that
Sure.
vote?
Great idea.
Woodbridge Country Club TAC update. Gosh, I think we can each talk for just 1 minute. I think we all.
I'm putting the timer on.
It was a long and interesting meeting where the spirit of it was that lots of people would be given a chance to have input into what they ideally wanted to happen with the Woodbridge Country Club. And I think Diane and I shared a lot of our thoughts about it and encouraged that people would really be included in it, and there's a large environmental interest that maybe might get overlooked, and that we want that to be taken into consideration because we don't want the referendum to go before the town and have it be shot down again after a couple $100,000 worth of investment in all these people's time. What do you have to say?
For those who weren't there, Sharon got a practically standing ovation in the beginning
That's right, from the crowd.
from the crowd.
I don't even know who's in the crowd.
May I ask what Sharon said
That
toward that?
that sort of the same thing is that people, there's a lot of people who care about conservation that have previously not voted for these referendums, and if we want something to happen,
Where's my pen?
it will need to take those people into consideration.
That's your timer, my friend.
Okay,
Do you have my pen?
Okay, my turn?
Yeah.
Is this your pen?
this is your pen. Okay,
I just
The
don't
wheels are starting
that's
to
my
come
pen.
off.
The wheels are starting to come off.
Yes, definitely.
Okay,
All right.
Diana, go.
My thought on the Country Club Technical Assistance Committee is that I thought it was a great start in the right direction, I think they're taking an approach this time to hear what the town's folks have to say about it. And I think we need to do a really good job of taking their recommendation, which is we talk about the updates that happen at the Technical Advisory, Technical Assistance Committee meetings. We encourage the public to come and speak at our meetings, to give comments and opinions that we then pass on to the Board of Selectmen and the consultants so that their voices can be heard and integrated into the process. And I think it is all of our responsibility to make sure that we tell everybody that we know that they need to come
and give us their
give
vision.
your voice. There you go, yep. There you go, that was my minute, okay. Any other questions on the TAC update?
So you're suggesting that they come
I'm
to
not
our
suggesting that.
meetings?
That's what we were,
You were
told.
told, okay, so you were
it was better for,
encouraged to have folks come to our meetings that no one really ever comes to speak,
all of the commissioners who were
about-
there, all the committee members.
right? But, so as we all have our meetings, our monthly meetings,
If
we can
people,
have
if people come
people
in
from
and
the
make
public
comment
make
about it,
about the country club in particular,
that we
Okay.
should then
share that.
share those comments with the group
And
and the
share
consultants so that
Any
they
new
can be.
insights we have, like any new reports we have about the environment or the Nature Conservancy, if they have thoughts about why it's good to preserve it, or if a forest, or,
Mhm.
if we gather more data, there want to be database, which I really appreciate, so we need data. And we need people to come present their interest and data in the country club, and we will listen to it and convey it to the committee.
Okay.
We want to go back because Joy was gone.
Yeah, so Joy, we just want to make sure, based on the recommendations you guys reviewed last week and
Last
how,
month.
I think the wheels are off. Last month, based on the ones that are just typed up here, and the ones that we went through and just made recommendations of integrating into our language. We just want to make a motion that everybody's sort of on board with the draft recommendations that we have collected together as a committee, as a commission.
Yes.
Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, and then from here, Sharon and I are going to draft the draft, circulate the draft, and then we discussed having a special meeting.
When?
Christmas Day.
I mean, let's do
You're
it right
hilarious.
after we meet with Chris Sullivan on New Year's Eve.
We'll have a New Year's party.
Right after that.
It's my
How many-
birthday.
It'll give Barbara a chance
You
to,
can make me a cake.
it'll make give Barbara a chance to redo her cake.
I'll make you a
Make me a boozy cake, Barbara.
Okay.
Another boozy cake.
Another boozy cake for New Year's. I love it.
And some rum punch. All right.
I
I'm
think it's a
cheeky.
great idea, actually.
I would.
Not on New Year's Eve, that's a hard no.
Right.
All right, but if we should maybe like, next week's off the market, but like the 23rd, or some other time, the 28th, I don't know, whatever, something after.
Are people away during Christmas break?
Yes.
You're away. Are you away?
No.
Are you away?
Unfortunately.
Are you available to
I'm
attend
not away.
virtually?
No.
Okay. Did you
Well,
say
we
you're
can still
away?
have a quorum,
No, no.
and you
I'm not gonna
probably,
be there.
nothing's going to be totally.
You will have the draft.
Yeah, as long as I can even send my
Comments.
comments about
Yeah.
the draft, and then
Great.
Mhm.
Or maybe we'll all come
Did
to
we
where you
finish
are.
saying our minutes? Did we go
Okay,
and say the
a little
minutes?
chilly, but
Yeah.
I was there 2 weeks ago.
so when
do we play?
Oh.
Okay, so let's
no, I
keep
don't
moving.
think we did, no.
Did we go around and speak the 1 minute?
Oh, we were speaking just about the TAC meeting that we saw, but do you have a minute that you
Well,
want
I
to
didn't
speak?
see the entire thing, I listened to it.
Oh, you did. You
Oh, the
saw
TAC
it.
meeting?
Oh, did you?
Oh,
Yeah.
then you want
Oh,
to
go ahead.
My husband put it
Your
on, so
your
we
minute
listened.
has started.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I was just a little, and I didn't hear the whole thing, and I'm sure you were fabulous. I'm sure all of you are fabulous. I was just concerned that we still don't understand what affordable housing is. We're like 2 or 3 years into this, and either people know what it is or they're being evasive. I'm not sure what's going on, but clearly there is a definition for it, and it seems like they're skipping around it.
Yeah,
Well,
And
that-
I don't
we called that
understand
out
why.
pretty clearly and
It's like,
requested
just say what
that.
it is. There's no sense having a referendum if people don't know what they're voting on. That's just
Good
Agreed.
point.
disingenuous. We're all intelligent people. Just say what it is, write it out,
Well,
have a conversation.
We specifically did ask for a listing of definitions to go forward, and they said they'd provide them.
And
I
we
heard that's
also
the part I heard, but this is
requested
after
that
3
there
years.
would be like public information, that's our timer, public information provided, informational sessions, what have you, on what affordable housing is.
Yes.
We also already had that conversation a couple of years ago. And it's let's just be clear about what it is, because people have different impressions what they think it is. But it's
Right.
clearly defined what it is.
Okay, so I
Well,
don't
it's
know,
just-
and I need to learn to be on this committee.
Do you know what it is?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but let's not go into it now.
Aww.
We have so much more to do.
And that's my only comment, that if we're gonna vote on things, let's just be,
Well, maybe we'll
Transparent.
put Val on a next meeting, she can talk about what affordable housing is from her perspective, so we can at least start to get more informed. Would you be
well,
willing to talk to
maybe
her?
we can have the housing committee come in, because they're part of, that's really
No,
what
no,
they're.
no, 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 they're, no.
They're not charged with defining what it is and providing that information?
Do they define it differently than other places?
So
No,
let's,
it was
let's
defined.
look at the right resource to
I
figure
think
out
we
who
roll
should-
it up, the definition is in the state, right? So,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
let's,
So maybe
It's in
we,
state statute.
It's
maybe
830G.
Paul, our ancillary member, could come up with information and send an email.
Is it still affordable housing or now is it opportunity housing?
Well, yeah, that's
Affordable
the other problem, is that they keep changing it. And the other thing that is problematic is that what I know you know is affordable housing. I went to that same training as you did a couple
Yeah.
years ago, right? Yeah,
Barbara,
but
here.
it's not a path to home ownership. That's the other misleading thing.
Right.
It is rentals.
Okay, okay.
So, yeah,
It's not only rentals, affordable housing.
that's the point, is that
It's
it's
a
multiple
very
things.
concrete definition, and I think that,
Well, can
It's based
somebody
on
be
income.
responsible to bring it to
Yeah,
us
80%.
at our next real meeting?
30%.
I think, again, I'm gonna say, I think that the housing committee should come.
80% of the state median
They're
income.
the ones that are
Let's talk
defining
about
it.
that.
You just go to the statute.
To the
It's
statute.
defined
Go to
in-
the
It's
statute,
defined in
because
the
what?
statute,
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Okay, would you be willing to research the statute and bring that to us?
Statute is 830G,
830G.
just look at the definitions in 830G.
Okay,
and
well,
say-
let's have a discussion about it. Does that seem like?
But I think it would be better if they're the ones that are leading that discussion to come in and to say, this is what they're defining as versus me. I think I know what it is, but they should come in, and then we could all be on the same page, test information.
Well, I think that's been where some of the tension has been arising
I don't wanna discuss
in the
this now.
community because I don't think everybody aligns very clearly on what that definition is on various parties and commissions. So
Let's table this discussion for later.
I agree, we had good direction on the TAC committee, TAC meeting, where we requested clarification, and that is the onus of the consultant to provide to the town. So
And then
that
each
people
of
can't
you-
play fast and loose with the definition.
It's
And then
9:30.
each of you can
Right
come
there.
to your commissions, right? And inform us,
Yeah.
educate us on
9:30G.
that.
No, it's
Correct?
9:30 right now.
Oh, it's
9:30
9:30. Yeah. Okay, so let's speed this up.
Okay, anybody else want a 60-second on that? No, okay, so we were making a motion to accept the goals and actions in the POCD that the commission has
Does anyone want to make that motion?
developed. Sure? Oh, sorry.
I'll make a
Oh, we were
motion.
about to vote.
I would not make that motion.
What?
I won't make that motion.
About,
Do you want to have discussion on
about
it
the
first?
draft?
I think that I think the motion should be that we ask Sharon and Diana to put together the items that we have discussed here today into a draft that we then can review and agree to. I don't think we should agree to it before it's
Oh, no,
put
no, I
together.
think we're just agreeing that we'll do the draft.
Well,
That's all I
that's what
think.
I'm saying, but we said, the motion that Diana said was,
I'll type
You
it any
agree
way
to
you
the-
want. I'll type it any way you want.
You have a nice holiday.
Yes, you too. You will.
Okay,
So
so,
Val's ready, needs to leave for a sec, but can we second that motion? Does anyone want to second that
She's
motion?
typing it. Do you want to type it?
go ahead.
Nice to see you.
Nice.
Okay. Motion made by Barbara to allow Sharon and Diana to draft the recommendation, goals and action items as discussed by the commission for the 2025 POC update.
to then be circulated and critiqued.
Okay, good. Does anyone want to second that? I don't feel like, Joy will second it. Should we, any discussion? And a vote? Okay, all in favor? Will you write a note to that?
I'm sorry, who
For-
seconded that?
To tell Kathy?
Tell Kathy
Sure.
what,
Aren't you telling Kathy the two motions that we had in?
I've got it in here.
she's typing it.
Okay, thank you, Val, thank
Okay.
you for being here. Well,
Okay, it's nice seeing
Miss you.
everybody.
Good to see you.
See you too.
Happy holidays.
happy holidays.
You know, in the new year, we start earlier.
You're welcome to come visit anytime you want.
Anytime.
Thank you.
It's a psychic boost.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
And thanks for the cider.
Yes.
Thank you for including me.
Thank you.
Take some blondies.
Wish we could have Paula's. Do we want to talk about alternates? Next. Okay, that motion passed unanimously. Yay!
So,
Moving on, Woodbridge Country Club updates. We already did that one on the TAC. We would officially like to encourage members of the public to come join our meetings. Get or email us your suggestions or your comments about as conservation.
pertains to the Woodbridge Country Club.
Yes.
25 meeting Conservation Commission times.
We just needed to confirm that it's at 6 p.m. Is
Can
that
we
what
do that without Kathy?
No. I'm sorry. We just needed to confirm that that's what you guys discussed last meeting
Yes.
because the meeting minutes were not up.
Yes, and also that we figured out there was one that we shouldn't do that in October that was Yom Kippur and that we need to find another name for
Yes.
that. And
So
need
we
to
did
talk
make a
about that.
recommendation that it be October 9th.
Can you write that to make a note for Kathy too? And with the motions, Diana?
Okay. So update the meeting schedule to include October 9th.
Okay, we are not gonna have a deep report on the Woodbridge Country Club because Ben is not here.
Next time.
Yes.
Although he did draft recommendations
Yep.
that we should
We
send
can
to the
go
Board
over
of
it.
Selectmen. Everybody have it?
Yep.
You wanna hold it up real quick?
It all looks good.
Can I look at it? Is that
That's
piece
what
of
I was
paper?
reading
Yes, but I
from.
don't think I ever saw it.
I'll email it to you all.
Okay,
That's the
But,
draft.
You know what, that should be added to our special meeting.
Yes.
We're gonna review.
Well, especially because a lot of the things that he put together should be things that we kind of use as
At
our
the POCD.
focus.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Westward Road.
I mean, quite honestly, does anybody, do we have reservations about what's in here and,
No.
and sending this, like, there's actionable items immediately. Stop mowing the Japanese knotweed.
I'll look
Move
at
the
it.
mesh netting along the
So we
driving
can tell
ranges.
Ben, yeah, we've already talked about all that stuff.
Yeah, so what he did is he put it into a recommendation draft that we should then
That's great.
submit on behalf of this. So if we all agree, we should vote to send this to the Board of Selectmen, and we can draft a letter.
Yes,
We should put a letter together,
yes.
just,
Do we need to vote on this?
yes, I think we do.
Okay.
I think it was-
move that the Ben's recommendations for the Board of Selectmen about immediate actions for the Woodbridge Country Club preservation should be sent to the Board of Selectmen.
For, management recommendations of the former country club.
Management recommendation.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor? Okay,
And do you want me to forward this to you all
Sure.
again?
Yeah,
So
just
you
to
have
make
it
it
readily
easier.
available?
yes.
Mhm.
Okay. So the next item is Westwood Road.
Who seconded that? Did I second that?
Yes.
Do it.
So the next, well, Diana's so kindly typing this, the Woodward Road Scenic Road Designation, Westward Road Scenic Road Designation Report. We presented it to the Board of Selectmen last night. They accepted it and will make a public hearing on their next meeting, which I'm pretty sure is January 8th. We did have Warren Connors, the road and tree guy, have some concerns about, the safety and the small plants, and the Board of Selectmen heard it and thinks that it still can become a road or still are interested in having a public hearing for making it a road designation, scenic road designation. Do you have anything else to say to that?
think it might be appropriate to add here that he said that they're just gonna cut the trees anyway. And
He said if they were
If
safety
they were
hazards.
issues.
yes, the
I
trees
think-
they decided. And I did not get a chance to speak. I wasn't acknowledged, but my point, and I just want it to be on record here, was that I feel that we can get a professional arborist if UI will agree to it, or if the town, whether it be Warren or Mika, can insist on it, to work with UI or Esplendor, whoever does the cutting, because they tend to just hack. And-
Yes,
but
I think that's a good idea, and we even have a little budget that we could even put towards it if we needed
I
to.
think we can get one free.
Oh, good. Great, okay.
That was the one you were talking about before with the, yeah, perfect. So we need to there's a public hearing on,
I've already talked to Rob, he's gonna be there,
good. We have the date?
January 8th, I think.
Thank you.
The other thing I wanted to mention,
At the
Was-
Board of Selectmen meeting, sorry.
that Warren stated very clearly that everybody in the road had signed off on UI clearing the trees, and yet in talking with them personally, most people felt that they had been somewhat coerced or
Misled.
coerced. I don't think coerced is the right word, but they were
Strongly advocated.
yes,
Beyond
they
what
were
they could.
in a sense they were told they had to do it, and I don't think that's true. I mean, I know it's not true.
I believe that's how they spoke to them, but I
Yes.
believe, yeah. that's-
Because in the end, everybody just jumped on
Yes,
the
Except for
hopeful
one
sign
person.
that this scenic designation will help to keep some of the trees.
Yes.
okay, I'm gonna move us along, I think that's a good point.
So I think it's important that we all attend the Board of Selectmen meeting on January 8th. Considering that not only are we're presenting on the Racebrook Trail parking area endorsement.
Are we?
Yes.
We're gonna make it on the agenda for that
Well,
meeting,
we're
you
gonna
think?
hope to.
Well, we've emailed them and asked them that that's what our vote is, and we'd like to be on the Board of Selectmen meeting. And then the other one, we're already on their meeting for January 8th with the public hearing.
Is it 5 PM?
6? Well, 5 was the
We'll have to find out.
solar
He'll be
guy.
in touch with us. We don't know. Allison will let us know.
Okay.
Right, but the westward scenic road designation, that one is already on the agenda, right, for January 8th?
Yes.
That's what she announced
Yeah.
last night? Yeah. So they gotta notice everybody and let them know that January 8th, that we're there. So we should all be there to speak on it. I think you should voice those opinions, because you didn't get called on yesterday to,
I'm happy to if I can.
yeah. Or if you can't attend, I think you should provide something in writing.
Oh, no, I will
think
attend.
that we should just let it go through and not create adversarial moments in terms of Warren and Connor did this and they did that. I think let's just have them vote yes and get it through,
It's a public hearing.
so people will be commenting. Okay,
Well, I mean, have it if you need to use it.
Be ready in case. Yeah, that's all you can do.
If the comments
Since
come up
you know
again.
that firsthand.
Right, I mean, if it, like, if the comments come up again, I think everybody has the opportunity to hear all the information. They didn't get to hear that from you yesterday, so if,
No,
perfect,
one
okay.
isn't gonna say Warren said this and Warren said that.
No. Yeah, right, no, I'm saying, the conversation with residents, how they,
Meanwhile, I will try to confirm or
sure.
not whether we might be able to get this free.
Can we move on
arborist.
Yeah,
to
that would
the
be great.
Deep Trails Grant?
Pardon?
Mm-hmm.
Can we move on to the Deep
Yeah.
Trails Grant? I don't have much to say about it. I think Barbara and I had an idea that maybe you or I meet with historical people who are interested in writing portions of it to encourage the process to continue, because it's hitting a little
I
bit of a
think
slow.
your point is well taken. If you and I or Diana and I sit down, I have a list of people, it's only 10 places. And we call them and say, hey, and Sharon's idea was that I'm a little too close, maybe if one of you says, get on the stick and
Gotcha.
write this. And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be long. you
No,
know,
it's just like, hey,
it's-
we're just checking, sort of like we did with the scenic road. It was
Exactly,
like a half hour,
exactly.
45 minutes, and we just called
and-
people
and
and
we-
left
And
messages.
we had them all
So let's
done.
plan that in the first week or two of January. Can you help me
Yeah,
plan that?
at least.
We'll let
Or
me include
Diana
it.
plan that? Okay.
I mean, we could do a Zoom and just, would that be okay?
No, because then we're assuming people get on Zoom to do
Yeah,
it.
we have to-
just wanna
we
just
have to
make it easy for them
individually
for
call
phone.
No,
them.
no,
You said just for phone?
Yeah, we're just gonna call them. We're
Oh,
gonna get,
okay.
can you get their numbers?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But sure, come to my house or wherever we meet and we'll just go through the list and make phone calls and say, hey,
Mhm.
can you get this done by February 15th?
Mhm.
Can you get this done by February 15th? How about?
I was
Alright.
just thinking that if they knew that this was a collaborative, that they would be maybe more responsive, that this is a group thing.
Well,
but
we
if could-
found that with the scenic road thing, that they knew that there was a bunch of us there and that they were, willing to have the discussion and make the choice whether they wanted it to be a scenic road designation. I don't think it has to be heavy-handed, it's just that Barbara's their buddy, so they're not necessarily, but Val, come with Diana, or, I think it's good. And you can do a couple of calls and I can do a couple,
That's not gonna
We'll
violate
sit you
FOIA?
on Muffy.
not if there's 2 or 3 of us.
Okay.
Okay, so,
I'll let you guys handle it.
thank you.
Yeah,
Updates for commissioners, Coopop, Coopop is reviewing properties, I can't even think. But the commission seems to be working really well, and they sort of went through they did what we did in the action plan, and sort of, Nicole sort of led them through what was relevant, and there was discussion about different properties or different actions and whether they should be involved in them or not, sort of like we did last month. So I think it was good that I was there because there was a few times they made assumptions which were kind of interesting, like if we get the Nugent land property, that's pristine land, so then we don't necessarily need to protect as much of the Woodbridge
Country
Country
Club.
Club. And I was like, Nugent land is, if you were taking down buildings and creating habitat, then I could see it could offset. But if you're taking already pristine land and sort of making that the trade for disturbing other land, that's not apples to apples.
No.
So they changed that thought, and I think we need to, and somebody else made that sort of same thought, is if we get more open space, then that offsets our need to protect Nugent land. And I think only if we got a work site that had 20 houses that we restored to natural habitat does it offset a site we're disturbing. And that was my opinion, and they seem to agree. Did that make sense, what I just said?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I will also say that, well, that was a Coopop meeting, I will say that Coopop at the Board of Selectmen meeting brought forward their Enoch Road and recommended that the town sell it,
Without mentioning ever that we disagreed.
without mentioning that our recommendation was in their folder that said, we strongly encourage for these various reasons that they not sell. So we're gonna send our recommendation over to the Board of Ed.
But the only mitigating factor with that is that it may need to, if they do get money for it, it may need to go into the open space fund.
I noticed
That would be
that that was agreed to last night.
Or at least it
Very
was
interesting.
acknowledged.
Because before,
I think we need to hold them to that if indeed this does go through.
Unfortunately, at that time, they started talking about where money was gonna go and what happened and what the process was. And
Okay, so
somebody
can I-
from Board of Finance had stepped out, and I was like, no, you are the expert on this. Anyway, so.
So there's a Coopop meeting on December 16th that I think I'm gonna try to go to, but I'd love it if someone else went to. But I think it's really important that someone
That's
is
Monday,
there.
right?
Yep, at the library.
Is it the same time as TP&Z?
This is the 16th. Oh, TPZ.
Yes, because it got moved.
Oh.
It is.
that's why
Yep.
it's at the library.
TP&Z and housing.
Well, one of us should
Wonderful.
be at TP&Z, I think we need to be.
Somebody needs to be at that meeting. That's important. That is really important.
Well, who can be there?
Let me just look here.
And I just, while you're thinking about the Nugent property, there was a phone call that Diana and I were on. The state is very aware that they get first right of refusal, and it seems, at least at first blush, that they are interested. They are
They
able
are
to,
interested.
yes, but they're
I'm gonna
only
be in
able
Massachusetts on
to
December
give,
16th.
what? Oh,
I'm gonna be out of the state.
So I have a meeting that night, but I think it's like, they're both important. So, because everything's kind
I
of
went to
coming to a
4
head
town
right now.
meetings this week, so I'm gonna tag
Yeah.
somebody else in to go to this one.
So I'll just,
Barbara, can you
I'll,
go to the one,
I'll
are you
move
working on
which-
Monday?
my meeting
Which
on
one
Monday.
now?
Well, one of them's at the
I'll
library, is
go
that
to the
helpful?
Coopop meeting on Monday the 16th.
Coopop's at the library, that's probably easier for you.
And you want
Can
me
you
to
go
go to
to-
TPZ?
And I'll try to figure out which of the two I'll go to also.
TPZ.
TPC.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so you'll take some notes about Coopop?
Yeah, and I
Let us
believe
know.
Coopop was ordered to start looking at,
Well, no, they chose to, they're very much choosing to, and to look at the Woodbridge Country.
Woodbridge Country Club.
And they're starting that discussion. So Nugent property, like I said, the state is involved. If the state doesn't get notified that by the owners that they're selling it, they will go pursue the owners and make sure they get notified. And then there's a 60 or 90-day window in which has to be a negotiation, and if the state shows interest, they have 6 months to make a real sincere proposal, and then they have some more time to actually acquire it. If they don't want it, the town does not have second right of refusal, so it would have to hustle and get in there before anybody else made an offer better than that the town could make.
And have we already started talking to potential pending partners? Sorry.
Well, it turns out, and that's the question I asked at that meeting, that my understanding was that the state nor the town can really pay more than the appraised value
Correct.
because it doesn't work for it. They can't be paying above market value. So the key part is that the people at whoever own Nugent land have to agree to the appraised value to be willing to sell it. Now, it obviously
Did their appraised value just go up too?
maybe. So anyway,
Okay.
they have to get 1 or 2
I believe
approvals.
it's not.
But I think
nowhere
it's
near.
not anything we need to be dealing with at this moment. And we just heard on the, well, I guess we could, there's the development of Fountain Street is a big issue that I don't think I can deal with talking about. But there's been a zoning change that's pretty drastic that just happened.
But
So
before-
TP&Z had a special meeting they had a meeting and they had a public hearing on there that they failed to adequately notice the public of. And they made significant amendments to the zoning regulation, including increase the amount of impervious surface at a development, increase the number of dwelling units per acreage for dense packed units. And I should also mention that both Mika and Kathy Hunter were there, and Kathy was trying to go even higher with the number of units. They increased the number of stories that a building is allowed to be from 2.5 to 4.
The decrease would need to be a
From-
shed roof and it could be a flat
Yeah,
roof.
they-
And from what I hear, this was anywhere that had sewage and water. But
In
that's just
Zone
here.
A.
Yes.
Yep,
What
and
was-
so it allowed the developer to go from 88 units to 96, so it could be even more lucrative for them.
With only 12, and they went down from 20% affordable, which is only, I think, $500
Yeah.
off the price, to 12%. So it really doesn't offset our,
It doesn't.
Now,
It doesn't
made our
even-
housing problem even worse.
Yep.
Right, and
Yeah.
then the
and they're all rental
wonderful,
units too, so
wonderful commission members who had some unique questions, asked the developer if they could include in the proposal 3-bedroom units. Why didn't they include 3-bedroom units? And the developer said, well, most towns aren't really resistant to that because it would increase such a burden to the school district by having all these multi-bedroom units. Yes. So we spoke at the Board of Selectmen meeting yesterday to say this was unacceptable and inadequate, and they failed to notice the public, and that this should be reversed, and that meeting should be considered illegal and dismissed. And we are following up on that. So everybody who feels strongly about it should send their opinion to the Board of Selectmen. And so this is why it's so important we go to TP&C, since clearly we're not being notified. And may we also add that our liaison here, who sits in the zoning building office, right?
She forgot that we said, asked her.
It was, I thought we specifically said to put it in the minutes because we wanted to make sure that our request, we wanted to know if anything was happening on that property at Fountain Street, that we be notified immediately. And that was only a couple months previously,
What was that same month?
No.
The month before.
because I wasn't at the November meeting, so it would have had to have been October
Okay.
or earlier. So we
I
requested
think it
that
was
that happen.
reiterated in the November meeting. Okay.
Why am I not finding your?
Imagine,
Their public notice?
what was the number per acre, 90?
96. Not per acre, 96 for the whole year.
96 units?
For the
It's
whole
18
thing.
per
Point-
acre. 15
18
to 18.
dwelling units per acre.
Yeah, it's 5.59 acres.
And just so you know, so that set a precedent now for the country club,
Mm-hmm,
and that's per acre.
mm-hmm,
So you do the math.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. And like I said, there were people from the
And-
housing committee who were sitting there encouraging that it go even higher
Way
number of
higher.
Well,
units.
what I'm
Way
surprised
higher.
about is how that is even allowed to be. That person is allowed to be
Sit on both.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a
Usually-
good question.
That's a very good question.
Housing and,
TP&Z. How can they sit on both? Yep, so there's
Because-
a lot of questions and like I said,
Not
You're
a lot of
sitting right there.
answers.
Okay, so let's, okay. Any other discussion?
and I encourage everybody to watch that.
Which,
TP.
TP&Z,
TP&Z.
December 2nd.
did you watch it?
Was November 2nd?
December.
December 2nd.
It was the day we all came back from Thanksgiving break.
it sounds kind of contradictory to what we're doing with the planning though. We're planning stuff, we're planning, spending all this time planning, but other things are happening which are going to impinge on what the planning. It's almost like, why are we planning anything?
Precisely. And, you know, TP&Z voted without any hesitation to approve all of the requests of the developer. Oh, yeah. And nobody in town knows because, well, clearly, nobody was notified correctly, legally, how we should have been.
That brings up a point.
Presumed.
Is an apartment building, obviously.
Yeah.
Is that a subdivision?
Oh, it doesn't matter. I think they eliminated or reduced the amount of green space that they needed because they could just put a walking path around the building and that would be enough for people.
Playground.
Oh, TP&Z did that too?
Well, it's
Oh,
not
yeah,
a
that's what the
subdivision, it's
del-
not a
develop-
subdivision, it's something else. It's, I
Well,
talked
that's
to
what I'm
Mika about it.
asking.
It's not a
Change in
subdivision.
Does it
zoning.
fall under that
No,
requirement?
no,
It does not, okay.
Yeah.
Because it's not separate housing, and they're going to different owners, it's one person building the whole thing.
And renting,
So there's one deed.
Yes,
and renting it.
yes.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, our first selectman was sitting in there for that whole meeting. Okay.
So, would we like to adjourn this meeting?
So it's important that somebody attend.
Yep, I'm
On
going.
Monday.
And Sharon's probably gonna go too. Is there public comment?
What time does it
Are
start?
we gonna
Six?
make
What
public
time does
comment?
it start?
6:30 is what I tried to find it and I couldn't find it on here, so.
You
but
can't find
I
that
think-
meeting?
Well, it says first, whatever, which is incorrect because they rescheduled. This is a special meeting, is my point. So I don't know if they're gonna stick to
I don't think
the
the
same
special
time.
meeting, you can have any comments.
It's 6:30,
It's 6 p.m.
6 PM, okay. But because it's a special meeting.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they allow public comment at a special meeting, and sometimes they don't, so.
Well, this is just a notice of the meeting. There's actually no meeting agenda posted.
I know. That's why I was trying to look
What's the date
look
of
for it, and I couldn't find it.
Monday,
16th?
the 16th, the same as
Coupon.
Coupop.
Okay, I think we've finished all our agenda items, which are, it's impressive, and I think we're
Now
in
we
rare
can-
form
we can
tonight.
Close the meeting and
I'd like
sit
to-
down and eat.
I'd like to adjourn the meeting.
I second that,
At what time do we adjourn?
so yeah.